Hi. Hello. How's it going, everyone? Good morning, good afternoon, whatever the case may be. I go by Mechanical Beanstalk. I'm a variety streamer who tries to do more off-the-radar games, which includes games that have a very strong community presence, which, you can meet more people in, or modded presence, which you have a very interesting gameplay experience, or indies or retros that need a little bit more time in the spotlight, like old or new classics, things that kind of have slid under the radar but are really good games and need a little bit more time to focus on it. I'm a small streamer, but I figure that if people can share the knowledge of like one particular game, it might get a little bit more recognition, might get a sequel. Who knows? Yeah, so that's my introduction. We're on Warhammer, unofficial Warhammer 40,000 Sundays, not official, right? Wherein we play my favorite IP, games from my favorite IP, rather. Warhammer 40,000. Today we're going to be playing Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader, the Infinite Mosion. I think that's how you say it. So is it interesting? So Warhammer 40,000, my summarized intro for that is it's off in the far off future of 40,000 plus, where life is very cheap. Mankind's empire is very grossly oversized and bloated. Technology is treated with almost like a spiritual reverence, and faster light travel and interstellar communications are utilized through hell. They're utilized through hell, and there are psychic things that utilize hell as well, and it's also treated with a kind of like almost like a magical sorcery type bent for thematically, right? Anyways, we're playing as Lord Captain Guppo Teawhistle of the Teawhistle Dynasty. We're playing Rogue Trader modded with a mod called Toybox. Allows us to kind of like tweak certain things about the game engine, and we are playing a modded party with a modded Rogue Trader, which is not human, he's abhuman, right? He's essentially a space halfling, right? And through a clerical error, he was actually given the warrant to trade the privateering merchant prince contract known as being a rogue trader. And he's had many adventures. He's slowly falling to chaos, to evil devil worship. But yeah, 𝕽𝖆𝖊𝖚, hello, sir. How are you doing on this wonderful Sunday? Playing more warm 40k Rogue Trader. What area are you now entering for the game? I think last time we got Eogunn, right, the new DLC character. He was, actually, we can bop over there really quick. Guys, if you haven't already, be sure to like and follow and subscribe on YouTube and Twitch. You would be my best friends if you would do so. Plenty of different ways to actually help support the channel if you are inclined to do so. A couple ones are liking, following, subscribing, but you can also, there are channel points, there are super chats, there are bits and bobs and whatnot, there are Patreons. Any links you can need to find, including ones for social media, are going to be pinned in my about page. Most are down below in the video description, post-recording. Also, there's Discord. If you have to check it out, it's pinned on the live chat to my right, and down below in the video description on both YouTube and Twitch, post-recording. But yeah, we got Eogunn last time. We're starting the Infinite Mosion DLC, right? It's DLC 3 for Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader. Going over the recap. Those of you who have been with me from the beginning, you know a lot about this already, but we have modded party. Most of them are just the companions you get during the course of gameplay, but they've been modded into like a halfling race. The Ratling space halflings in my playthrough are going to be plus 10 perception, plus 10 agility, but negative 10 toughness and negative 10 strength. So that's all there really is to it. Their models are modified, but not really anything too crazy. We modified the anyone who's a halfling is also modified. Well, also they're just the general, like all the characters have been modified a little bit. They have new halfling portraits, and their starting builds have been modified, right? So we have the main hero of the story, Captain Guppo Teawhistle of the Teawhistle Dynasty, right? His little teapot is a crest. You can see it under my portrait on my screen right now. We have our tank, Solomorn, right? One of the DLC 2, I want to say. DLC 2 character we're playing as. We modified him into more of like a tank build, warrior instead of a something else, right? He's a warrior tank. He has he generally uses a two-handed shotgun for his main weapon, right? And shields, right? He still has 𝕿𝖚𝖆𝖊𝖚. 𝕿𝖚𝖆𝖊𝖚, who in this version of our story is a cyber corgi, right? We do have Jay. She's been modified into like a dual pistol-wielding blade dancer dual pistol wielding, 𝕿𝖗 sword wielding blade dancer. So the idea is that she kind of pops loose. She sprays a bunch of DOT stuff that actually also debilitates and slows or roots people in place, or causes bleed damage, and then she can't reach everyone, or it's too dangerous. She leaps back. It's actually a pretty fun playstyle. I would definitely recommend playing it. We do have modified 𝕿𝖗 in our version. She is a giant buff 𝕿𝖗 who can actually use heavy weapons, because we didn't have a really heavy weapon user in our last playthrough. This is the second playthrough that we're actually playing through right now. We have 𝕿𝖗, right, which is just mostly just healing, mostly DPS. We have her as an overseer, which was added in DLC 2. I should say that we have how many ones do we actually have? We have 𝕿𝖗, overseer 𝕿𝖗, overseer Solomorn, overseer Captain Guppo Teawhistle, which is a cyber eagle user, right? And finally, the newest companion that we actually we haven't modified his model at all or anything like that, or portrait, right? But we have the Eogunn, I think it's Eogunn Timber, I think is his name. We actually changed his initial starting class to officer, right? Instead of no, was it officer? No, operative. We changed his class to operative instead of officer, right? Because we already have like an officer in Captain Guppo Teawhistle, right? So we don't want to have a little bit of overlap. But we did operative and the tactician guy. I forget exactly what the name is, right? We're going to make Eogunn into kind of more like a sniper DPS character. She's going to be replacing our mercenary, who was Captain Molly Prickleberry. Officer Molly Prickleberry. We used her since the beginning of the game, right? Anyways, that's going to be our fellow. I think I'm trying to find out like what's the Fellowship of the Rings would be called in like Warhammer 40,000. What was it? I think I said like Fellowship of Fate, or if we go to Fall of Chaos, it's going to be the Fellowship of Flies. But anyways, yeah. We just got Eogunn, and I think we're just going to go around. We're going to do some side quests. In Footsteps to a Legend, access the personal cogitator and Dargonus. Okay, yeah. If we can, we're going to be doing DLC 3 quests. So access the personal cogitator on Dargonus. Okay, so that's fair enough. We are... I think it's all the way up here, right? Restore operator. Yeah, there's a few quests we can actually do. So access the personal cogitator on Dargonus, so we can actually go there. We'll do DLC 3 quests as much as possible, and I think it goes like there's all these routes and everything. It's a little bit. I think it's easier to get to Dargonus. I made sure that I spent a lot of points to make like a very nice, simple route from Dargonus all the way to Footfall. Let's see. Yep. Nope. Nope. Let's see. I go here. Yes. More travel. Emergency aboard the void ship. A foul warp entity has pierced the thin veil of the Gellar Fields and spawned an unimaginable beast of unnatural hues. The Vox systems are picking up the crewman's screams, and the warp fills loathsome giggling. The situation demands immediate intervention. Blessed by holy gifts, the Emperor's loyal servants will battle his enemies without any fear or doubt. I mean, we could just... I feel... do I want to do it myself? I kind of don't want to use up my loot, right? I'd rather use my loot to get my reputation up. Let's see how, like, quick I can get this. Oh, wait. Okay, I didn't mean to do that. Anyways, 1,000 voidsmen are dead. It is what it is. Let's see here. I think I can do void ship management. I think I clicked on the wrong thing. Anyways, let's see. Repair. Can I repair? Let's see, where is it? Scrap. Where's the repair button on this guy? Let's see here. Push management. Can I not repair? What's going on here? It should be a little button for repair, isn't there? Let's see here. Post development. Post. We have everyone in a post, right? Let's see here. Master Cannoneer. Is that good? Shield Master. 92. That sounds... Oh, actually, yeah. You, Master Maneuvers. Who's the best? 65. Okay. Warp Channeler. Looks about right. Master of the Etherics, 60. Have the ship's chef. This was one of my mercenaries early in the game. He was going to be my pyromancer, right? He's all about, doing fire damage and like laying down the zones of control, right? Which is supposed to be like, here's pies, come get pies. That's thematically, that's what I was going to do. But we have actually characters now, so we don't need mercenaries anymore. So we have 80. Yes. Okay, cool. That's great and all, but how do I... Oh, there we go. Cool. Yeah, 83 units of scrap. Sure. Okay, just blowing up the ship already. War travel, yes. Safe. And then 𝕽𝖗𝖆𝖊𝖃 is up here, isn't it? 𝕽𝖗𝖆𝖃. Yes. Okay, cool. Oop. 𝕽𝖗𝖆𝖃. That was easy. They didn't mean to get all those people killed. For once. What? Oh, uh-oh. What's happening? For a second, I thought it... You didn't crash? That's being weird. Lord Captain, urgent transmission from Sector Bionica. Okay. Eogunn. Hail, Rogue Trader! Eogunn's sonorous voice fills the channel. As you know, there are no unsolvable dilemmas, only poorly formulated questions. Okay? I dig that he's kind of like a very like academic kind of like teacher kind of like character. You strike me as someone who knows how to ask the right questions, so I would invite you to participate in my scientific research. Will you honor me with your presence in the Sector Bionica? Yes, of course. Well, we still have some time before we get to 𝕽𝖗𝖆𝖃, Eogunn. Of course, I will be right there. Blessed are those who either call the Messiah. I look forward to our conversation, Rogue Trader. Okay, yes, of course. Right down. Take the elevator to Sector 5. The mag train from Sector 5 to 13. And then the Bionica should be right over here. Oh, the train is stalled. Abelard! Abelard! Get this train going. Oh, sweet. I try to make just plain caramel coffee. I need like I don't know, a little bit better like coffee flavoring. It's either like too like junky tasting or like too pricey for how much you get. Anyways, I hope you guys are doing okay today. I am doing wonderfully. Real life stuff has moved our stream schedule around a little bit, but you know, we're trying to start a family, right? Winter and I'll say it like that. And you know, stuff is proceeding. We'll see what happens. But yeah, thank you guys for bearing with me. I appreciate it. Okay, the entire party's here. On the operating table, several bodies are laid out. Their mutilations exposed to the chill air. Their chest and abdominal cavities yawn wide, excavated with their augmented organs, which now nestle in flasks, still connected to the bodies by tubes and cables. Judging by the rhythmic contractions, the organs are still functioning. Okay, Eogunn hovers over the tables, assiduously, assiduous. I don't know why I can't say that. Taking measures and jabbing mechadendrites into the extracted organs or inside the bodies. Nuncius keeps stoic vigil nearby, an passive observer of this grotesque spectacle. Okay. You know, Captain Guppo's been a little bit jaded over his adventures, right? He started off as kind of like a more classic halfling, and he's becoming more and more like sorceress, like corrupted. You can see by the pallor of his skin. Take a closer look at the bodies. 3 men of differing ages lie before you, young, middle-aged, and old, okay? If you look closely, you can see that they have a semblance of life about them. Each one has had the top of his skull delicately removed, okay? And electrodes are now attached to bluish-hued brain tissue laced with blood vessels. Below the neck is one... I mean, this is like Warhammer 40,000, like just because it's like this, like, really dark, that doesn't mean, like, it's not effective. Like, you can get all diced up and stuff, and you can get put back together, you're fine. With the technology the Imperium has. I should say that generally whenever there's like a long load time, a little bit of downtime, like during the stream when we have to wait for something in game, we talk about Warhammer 40,000 lore. And kind of like wouldn't say I'm aspiring LoreTuber, but I like Warhammer 40,000 lore. So we usually talk about that, mostly regulated or what's regulated, mostly contained to the Warhammer 40,000 role playing game side, like what the role playing games and their slices of the lore pie have given us, right? That's what we usually tend to talk about. I think last time we were talking about what a Death Watch cRPG would kind of look like. We might actually talk a little bit more about that. We might choose something else. But anyways, each one has had the top of the skull delicate removed, and electrodes are now attached to his bluish hued brain tissue laced with blood vessels. Below the neck is one continuous gaping wound. The edges spread and held in place by a complex system of clamps. Examine the young man. Okay, that's that guy. The pathologically emaciated build and spindly, almost transparent limbs indicate that this is a Voidborn. Okay. I see that this is a Voidborn. Poke, poke. Glance into open rib cage reveals signs of damage. Oh, let me see in here. The sac around the heart is torn, and the vessels have been reinforced with metal staples. Okay. The Portheus heart is half augment. Both ventricles have been replaced by pumps, which is it's not terribly uncommon, which are connected to opaque tubes that run to the Medicaid device's reservoir. Okay. The young man's neck is tattooed with his bay coat and job title. It seems he is a common worker from the lower decks. Okay. Interesting. Kavita, hey, what's going on? Kavita, I have your IP, your home address, and your government files say a lot about you. Well, just kidding, just kidding. Yeah, just kidding. Wink. I know you're my handler, Kavita. Like someone let it slip in chat the other day. My mom was finishing making our favorite food. What's your favorite food? Examine the man. His well-developed musculature and strong bones. This man presents a stark contrast to the others. His left arm is missing, along with part of his shoulder. Shreds of major vessels protrude from the neatly trimmed stump. They have been closed off with bizarre-looking end caps that are wired to a metal arm lying nearby. The Enforcer's emblem is tattooed on the man's neck, topped with the Teawhistle coat of arms. Examine the old man. The old man's eyelids are closed and his face is serene. He might appear to be sleeping peacefully if it were not for the deathly pallor of his face and the monstrously mangled neck. He had been fitted with a voice implant at some point previously, but had been recently wrenched from the unfortunate man's body. Okay, every so often the metal hose, now serving as his trachea, emits a ready, whistling sound. He is clutching something tightly in his right hand. It's an ornate set of prayer beads, the kind used by ordained servants of the ecclesiarchy. And my examination. I mean, this is not really abuse. I don't know. You gotta see a lot of the stuff that they do through, Imperial Society eyes. Through an Imperial lens, right? I mean, this is like they throw around Warhammer 40,000 like the year, like Millennium 41, Millennium 42, like all the time. But like it really is like if our society actually reached that point, we'd be so far removed from our morals and where we are right now, for better or worse. So like this is like, I don't know. It's the more you kind of, it's like I want to say this right, but like a lot of Warhammer 40,000 is kind of like a shock value, right? And it's just like grim dark and have a lot of like ridiculous over the top stuff. But like the more you spend in it, the more you see like video games or like novels and stuff like that, the less it becomes really dark, if that makes sense, right? So like the shock value of it wears off a little bit. It's kind of strange, being like a fan of this fan base in certain ways, right? Like I feel like there would be a point where like someone who's never heard of Warhammer 40,000 is really sensitive to like blood and like grease and stuff like that and dirt. Like they see it for the first time, they're like, "What the fuck?" And then like I have to like introduce myself as like a fan of that community. I feel like that can be a very interesting scenario, but yeah, it's interesting. Anyways, Eogunn, what manner of experiment do you plan on conducting to these men? Hey, Crazy Dane, what's going on? Hello, Crazy Dane. Hello. Chicken, saru, and rice. Ooh, it's any dish I love it so much. Ooh, it sounds really good. Saru. It makes me kind of hungry, Kavita. What manner of experiment do you plan on conducting to these men? The Manipulus's massive bulk spins around to face you. That's a part of his general rig that he's actually attached to, right? His eyes dancing with excitement. Rogue Trader, your arrival has triggered a cascade of impulses in the prefrontal cortex of my brain. Delight is the word I was searching for. Yes, of course. Cast off your worries. The subject of the experiment I've been preserved through a combination of alchemical compounds, local transactions of the motive force, and moderately invasive augmentation procedures. In other words, all three are very much alive. That's fine. I mean, this is kind of like, it's weird. Like, yes, it's dark, but like, it's kind of like part of the course, really, especially like from Lord Captain Guppo's like station, right? And moderately invasive augmentation procedures. In other words, all three are very much alive. Yes, of course. Through the speech, Eogunn's mechadendrites continue the manipulation of the bodies, right? Eogunn is kind of, unlike Pascal, I think he's more like, in terms of like the genetic and like academic, like, what would be a practical academic application of like technology, right? He's also like, he knows, so the motive force in like the Mechanicus Creed, the Tech Priest Creed, the worship technology, that's like, think of like the turning of a gear. And like how like life and like motion like generates energy and can be utilized for other things. So people who practice like utilizing the motive force, especially like electro priests who actually have like like these badass glow in the dark or glowing tattoos right under their skin. They can like siphon energy. They can be like energy vampires, right? They can drain you of like all of your energy and like stop you in place, right? Or they can like harness all that turning of the cog and like channel like lightning, like Sith lightning. It's pretty cool. And Eogunn seemed to have that kind of general ability. I think his manipulus, the belly, I think that contains, I forget what it's called offhand. I think it might be part of the manipulus, but it has motive force, it's essentially a battery, right? I think I said what it was last week, but I'm spacing out. But anyways, Crazy Dane, not a whole lot going on, just trying to find something to distract me. Well, I hope you're able to hang out, have fun, and be distracted, I guess. The crux, all three organisms were found in critical condition. I asked myself, Eogunn, is their usefulness and productive capacity truly at an end? Nonsense, no. To move, I picture him, one of his like forearms is like, no. To move from a state of being to a state of non-being, see, this is like the very motive force version of the Tech Priest cult. There's a lot of in the Imperial cult and the the cult Mechanicus. There are absolutes that you can't like your doctrine can't sway from like the absolutes in it. But like the Imperium's so like vast and massive, you're going to get a lot of variants like saint worship or worshiping a specific aspect of like the teachings, right? So and it's like the Imperium's so vast, like millions of worlds and billions of people, right? Like you see a lot of people, a lot of stories about inquisitors going around and trying to purge heretics, but like in the end, even though like the Imperium is such a giant like bureaucratic nightmare, like you can't police everything, right? So I think he's more like concerned of like, Pascal would be like worshiping technology and stuff like that. I think Eogunn's more like in terms of academic practicality and the motive force itself. That's what I'm getting the kind of the feels from this guy so far. So I personally entrusted their vital functions that were preserved. Our goal could not be simpler: to vanquish death by creating the perfect righteous man, that which I have dubbed the 𝕽𝖶𝖌𝖚𝖊𝖃. Yes, of course. Is that heresy? I'm not quite sure. Needless to say, you can't. There's so many procedures that you push back or to kind of thin the lines of like life and death, right? In the Imperium. Needless to say, the procedure is highly experimental and demands a certain looseness of interpretation in regard to augmentation canons, as well as integration components that would incur the Imperium's disapproval. But the Omnissiah teaches us to surmount any obstacles in the name of knowledge, especially when pursuing a goal such as magnitude. Kind of feel like I wish I almost had Pascal in my party, because so he can give me his 2 cents on this. 𝕽𝖶𝖌𝖚𝖊𝖃, what's that? 𝕽𝖶𝖌𝖚, what is that? The triune essence, the amalgam of the best constitute parts of three individuals who excelled themselves in service. Metaphysically, it consists of three beings: mortal flesh, ferrum sanctum, the metal, and righteousness. By creating the perfect combination, we will achieve totality that is vastly superior to its components and its qualities, useful to Imperium. This is like definitely skirting heresy. What is the practical significance of your experiment? You are all about practicality, correct? In the current state, each of the subjects is doomed. Yes, of course. But just as the parts of the dying mechanisms can be combined again to create a fully functioning machine, so too can these subjects be combined into a single entity, granting them continued life through correct configuration. Can you make Eogunn like... Can you turn Eogunn to chaos? I wonder. That'd be interesting. He isn't wearing the red of Mars. Stygius... I think he's wearing the... So the black robes are Stygius 7 or Stygius 8. And those guys are kind of like the borderline heretical faction of the Mechanicus. So he doesn't come from Mars. He comes from a different planet. Although not everyone that lives on Mars and trained on Mars was from Mars. I could say that. But just as the parts of dying mechanisms can be combined again to create a functioning machine, so too can these subjects be combined into a single entity, granting them continued life through correct configuration of the ferrum sanctum and organic components, all three. Yes, all feats! No one man! All feats! The only thing I require is to continue the experiment is the solution to my dilemma. Which subject should serve as the basis? Eogunn turns his burning gaze to you. This is not my expertise, Eogunn. How did you decide to create a 𝕽𝖵𝖊𝖊𝖗? Is that how you say it? Out of these three? How did you decide that? There are strong arguments in favor of each of them. The Genotaur raises a clawed mechadendrite and begins flexing its manipulators. In time with his words. Firstly, they all have performed their services impeccably, which suggests outstanding human qualities. Secondly, each body is robust enough to receive the blessing of the Omnissiah. And thirdly, there's no chance of salvation for any of them. Okay. Let's see. Such talk of deviation for the canon is a mysterious component. Sounds... should I say that? I'll bring it up. Like, what's his... I want to know a little bit more about what's his take on this. Such talk of deviation from the canon is a mysterious components. Some people might say that's fairly heretical. Far from it, I assure you. It's a calculated risk taken for the sake of the experiment whose importance surpasses any possible complications many times over. I exercise great diligence overseeing the procedure, so there's no cause for alarm. Anyways, let me catch up with chat a little bit. Kavita. Summer break is over. School starts tomorrow. Oh, when? Is it already? Jeez. I'm nervous since I didn't finish any of my holiday homework. I only did the ones of the teachers who care, but I'm excited to see my friends. I miss them. Yeah, good. I'm happy to see you get to see your friends again. Yay, my mom made the food. Bye. Enjoy your food, Kavita. I'll see you soon. Small people... It's French. Hey, French, what's going on? Smallest people of space assembled. Yes. Maybe could be our team name. The Small Avengers. the Pocket Avengers. Oh, my lord. Why are all these subjects horribly mutilated? Two reasons. The first is that they were previously fatally injured. Makes sense. I've performed numerous rites and manipulation to ensure that each was able to avoid a fatal outcome. The second is that I've been conducting the necessary measurements to fully assess the compatibility of configurations of the ferrum sanctum and organic components for optimal experimental result. This offers the extraction of said components. And why is this important? So this experiment so important to you? Knowledge is always important. He's going to say something like that. An angry spark zips along the pistons in the manipulus's beard. Okay. He floats higher, turning his glowering gaze on the sector ceiling. Because I cannot abide the senseless waste of potential. I cannot accept a foolish accident in the fragility of organic flesh, which can, in an instant, deprive the Imperium of worthy servants. And if I am able to extend their service life, I will do so, whatever the cost. It sounds admirable, in a way. Eogunn's passionate speech could be mistaken for pride and conceit, but something else lies behind it, a doggedness born of some deeply personal experience. The man carries a heavy burden, and the experiment is but one of his many attempts to relieve himself of it at last. That's a lot he can gain from that small exchange. Okay, sure. Drifting lower once more, Eogunn calmly asks, any more questions plaguing you, rogue trader? Let's see here. Okay. Very well, I will help you, but what role am I supposed to play in this experiment? I guess I am very small. A decisive one. So I can like go into like certain crannies and nooks. Small hands, too. I can detail the composition-humor ratio to the experimental subject, measuring the mass of their frontal lobe, or answer... Wait, a decisive one. I can detail composition-humor ratio of each experimental subject, measure the mass of their frontal lobe, or answer with pictosecond accuracy how often their heart contracts. But how does one calculate a man's righteousness? How do you weigh diligence of service? You will help me answer these questions by choosing the basis for the 𝕽𝖶𝖌𝖚𝖊𝖃. Your assessment will be the linchpin on which this experiment hinges. Your service goal does not have this data. My dearest colleague and I have more than one consolium, but we have never reached a consensus. Nuncius is skeptic, and our positions rarely align, but we tend to reach a compromise in the end. But alas, not on this occasion. The only thing we agree upon is we need a third opinion. Only you can furnish us with said opinion. This is an uncontrovertible fact. What is it that your service goal disagrees with? The service goal hovers in haughty silence, which is only broken by Eogunn's sighs of aspiration. Okay. Pressing his lips together, the manipulous grunts out. To condense overly pedantic response, Nuncius does not consider righteousness to be of any way significant factor in this research. Had I any less respect for my dearest colleague, I would say that this constitutes an egregious misunderstanding of the concept of 𝕽𝖶𝖌𝖚𝖊𝖃, and is indicative of the extreme closed-mindedness. But such remarks are beneath me. And what do you understand by the term righteousness? The combination of countless factors that unite the thoughts and deeds of a person to the quintessence of worth of his being within his specific society. Okay. I'm at a loss to provide a less broad definition, but no matter. Much more important is how you define righteousness. The subject you choose will determine the answer to that question. Well, tell me the matter about all three. A mechadendrite touches the table with him, the middle-aged man. Okay. To his right, Enforcer 𝕿𝖗𝖆. He has diligently served upon the ship since birth. Okay. Participant, this is just like his worth as a person, I guess. A participant in countless combat landings where he was a model of valor and steadfastness. He was known on the lower decks for being tough but fair. His lack of active heroism was to rescue an enforcer patrol and a number of workers on deck on 515E2. 𝕿𝖗𝖆 placed his own body over a crack grenade thrown from a crowd by a mutineer. Next is the old man all the way over there. Okay. Hover. Preacher Cleophanes, originally assigned to serve the ship's reliquary, he rejected the luxury of the chapel in favor of an external pilgrimage on the decks where no servant of the ecclesiarchy had ever set foot. Through his example and word, he encouraged and instructed the outcast and the forgotten. Thousands of souls who would otherwise have lost their faith and fallen to heresy came to know the word of the emperor. But it only took one to end the Cleophanes preaching for good. A madman attacked him during a sermon, managing to rip out the preacher's vocal implant before the crowd tore him apart. Oh my god. That was, that's pretty savage. Okay, finally Eogunn touches the voidborn youth. 𝕿𝖃, a ventilation shaft crawler from Sorting Hub 10. He dutifully burned mold, slime, and vermin and would be the first to climb into blocked ducts, risking his life to deliver recycled air to the sector. He was a true believer and never lamented his lot. On a final foray, he saved hundreds of workers by using his body to plug a hole in a combustible gas pipe. The toxicity led to a cardiac arrest and blood poisoning. Interesting. Okay. So who has more worth? I don't know. I'm ready to make a decision. Who will form the basis of the 𝕽𝖶𝖌𝖚𝖊𝖃? Good question. So there's no like heretical or non-heretical decision. I need to build up my heresy points here. What would Captain Guppo Captain Guppo is a glutton. He's selfish. He's less cowardly now that he's been through so much. He's been through like body swaps and stuff like that. But and he's dabbling in the warp knowledge and sorcery. But the enforcer, the priest, the worker, he probably has a little bit of disdain for the priest that he won't vocalize out loud because he's probably a little bit like sour on the fact that the ecclesiarchy have like hunted ratlings or made life difficult for abhumans. The enforcer, so it's probably not the priest, the enforcer or the worker. I think the enforcer would appeal to him a little bit more, having a stronger warrior like on his cast. Then Fossa. Eogunn contemplates a half-dead man lying stretched out on the galvanized surface. The choice has been made, but will you deign to answer my question? Why him? I must know your thought process. A reticle. Okay, I do have a reticle. How should Guppo say this? He is strong, and I commend his strength and his service to the dynasty. Eogunn closes his organic eye, deep in thought. Finally, his face breaks into a smile. Thank you, Lord Captain Guppo Teawhistle. That is it, the solution of our dilemma. I will begin the 𝕽𝖵𝖚𝖊𝖊𝖚 procedure. May organic flesh and sacred machinery be at one. Okay. I think we have a long ways to go before we get to the next level of heresy. With a barely audible crunch, Eogunn's injector mechadendrite pierces the brain tissue. So dark. The man's face contorts in anguish and his back arches in a fit of spasms. His brow furrowing, the genitor delivers a powerful pulse of motive force, and the unfortunate man drops limply back down to the table. The tech priest manipulators dart between the three bodies, separating organs, automating limbs, and transplanting them into the new host. Discharges of energy coruscate around Eogunn's hulking figure, growing brighter and brighter until you see the final flash, leaves you temporarily blinded. When your vision returns, you see the manipulus carefully releasing the subject limbs from their restraint. The process... Oh, I'm sorry. That's Captain Guppo. The process is complete. Is he going to be conscious already? I feel like he needs to, heal even... Oh, he is! He's up! Okay. The creature, which a second ago resembled a humanoid lump of bloody meat studded with metal, suddenly leaps up with unexpected vigor, tossing Eogunn backwards and letting out an unintelligible howl of suffering. Before anyone can react, the amalgam man barrels towards the entrance of Sector Bionica, filling the deserted corridors with plaintive moans. Eogunn stares at him in amazement. Impossible! The calculations were perfectly calibrated, all factors taken into consideration. Was the specimen defective? I must find the 𝕽𝖵𝖚𝖊𝖊𝖚 immediately and determine what went wrong. Voxmaster Vigdis is already on the line. Your compede crackles life, carrying Voxmaster Vigdis' anxious voice. Lord Captain, urgent report from Mistress Sarbeck. A strange creature resembling a malfunctioning servitor is headed towards the lower decks, shouting pleas that make reference to you and Genitor Febris. Okay. Enforcers have been dispatched and intercepted, but they assumed you would prefer to assess the situation personally. Interesting. At least we know exactly where to look for your creation, Eogunn. Voxmaster, we are on our way. One way or another, we must see this experiment through to the end. For knowledge! And motive force! And whatnot. Yes. Have everything, right? Yes. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, I don't know what we're going to be talking about for our lore talk today. We talked a little bit about our concept for a Death Watch cRPG, like after Dark Heresy, after owlcat releases Dark Heresy. But I don't know. I do kind of want to talk a little bit about the Black Crusade role-playing game a little bit more. There's that. And you know what I could talk about a little bit more is I haven't talked about the sector for Dark Heresy 2nd Edition. I really haven't looked into only war. The only, like the second, I don't know if you want to say generation, but the second iteration of Warhammer 40,000 role-playing game was only war. So that's after the percentage system, right? That's a whole new thing. And I haven't really looked into it that much. I don't know what the state of like Warhammer 40,000 pen and paper role-playing game games are at the moment. But let's see, save game. But I would be interested in like looking into a little bit more. Not really sure where to start on that. Let's see. Fellowship of Flies. Yeah, Fellowship of Flies was one of the ideas I had for my adventuring company.
None shall stand in my way.
I could just say Fellowship of Flies. It rolls off the tongue a little bit more than Fellowship of Fate. This is, wow, nobles from the upper deck down here to see us. What does it say? I can't see it. Something resembling a nest made out of thermal insulation material. This must be where the workers sleep between shifts. Bloody bare footprints stretch down the passageway. The air smells machine or unguents and medicated substances. Okay. God. Okay, sure. Anything interesting? You got stuff? Oh, there's his trail. Oh, 𝕿𝖗𝖆𝖉𝖊𝖗 already has his scent. What's going on now? Lord Captain, we got the beast cornered. Give the order and we'll capture it. Oh my god. The 𝕿𝖗𝖆𝖊𝖊𝖗 lies prostrate before the entrance of the bay. A faint aquila on the door is the only witness to his incoherent babbling. His hysterical wails of righteousness of the righteous triune man are interrupted from time to time by the clanging of his augmented skull against the deck. A vicious mixture of blood and oil oozes from the samples of his forehead, and his fingernails are all chipped from his attempt to dig the implants out of his body. 𝕿𝖗𝖆𝖊𝖊𝖗. Oh, we're not calling him 𝕿𝖗𝖆𝖊𝖊𝖊𝖗. Okay, sure. Why not? The enforcer's thunderous voice commands into the empty air. Check the arsenal! The dynasty's banner is 𝕿𝖗𝖆𝖊𝖗𝖗 on shroud. Do you want me to throw you in a cell? A spasm rocks his body, and his already muddled speech turns into a frightening cacophony that barely sounds like language. Suddenly, the 𝕿𝖗𝖆𝖊𝖊𝖗 pounds his head on the deck and spews forth another medley of ragged sentences. Please, please, come back alive! Where's your helmet, soldier? God, Emperor, I will not be afraid. I will not be afraid! Eogunn clucks his... clucks his tongue on displeasure, worrying about a piston on his beard as he thinks. The subject left the Sector Bionic prematurely. Nuntius is right. I was so absorbed by the 𝕿𝖗𝖆𝖊𝖊𝖗 procedure that its successful outcome that I made the mistake of unfastening the restraints before the psychological evaluation could be conducted. Rogue Trader, we must stabilize the 𝕿𝖗𝖊𝖊𝖗 before the specimen is forever lost to us. No, I'm interested in seeing where this will go. Expect you stabilize him if you present me. Trust the 𝕿𝖗𝖊𝖊𝖗. Kill him. Try the experiment is over. How do we stabilize him? Just as a bandage binds a wound and a patch secures damaged steel, so can the words heal a fractured mind. He's bewildered and frightened. He does not understand the gift that has been given to him. Talk to him. Hello? Was it 𝕿𝖗𝖆𝖊𝖊𝖗? Hello? I am Captain Guppo Teawhistle, your lord and commander. The mulligan head thumping stops. The man shifts his cloudy gaze to you, and you see recognition in his eyes. The Lord Captain? I serve the dynasty! Oh, we see him in my new companion? Yay! DLC 4 companion. The 𝕿𝖗𝖆𝖊𝖊𝖗. owlcat. If anyone from owlcat, for some reason, somehow is watching, you gotta make an orc companion before you stop doing DLC for Rogue Trader. You have to. You have to! It's like the first Warhammer 40,000 role-playing game that actually had Xenos characters. You have to have it. Come on! Rogue Trader had an amazing orc class. 2 orc classes in the pen and paper Rogue Trader. So you have to have it. You just have to have it. You know, we could talk a little bit about more about orcs in the Warhammer 40,000 setting. We can do that. Lord Captain, I serve the dynasty! With an unpleasant clang, the man slams his augmented hand into his chest implant in a military salute. He freezes like a stalled machine, then an astonishing shudder runs through his entire body, and blood trickles from the corner of his mouth. Is punishment? Am I not permitted to die? I will not fear. Eider down and shroud. What? Dogmatic adherence. Can I do... I can't do heretical. Dogmatic. Persuasion. Wait. For 114... It's 59% persuasion. Tech use 100%. You have underground geared operation. Implants need time to settle in your body and mind. Okay, let me take a look at you. I will ease your pain. No, he wouldn't do that. Tech use, I guess, yeah. Tech use. You have undergone a grave operation. The implants need time to settle, and your body and mind needs time to adapt. I promise you will feel better. Tech use test succeeded. His whole body shudders and then freezes abruptly. Sobbing, he whispers in a witless smile. The pain will fade. The dynasty's banner. My duty! The 𝕻𝖆 looks more stable. A little more. And you'll be able to calm him down. Oh, I have to do it again? Medicaid? Oh, God. Did I saved, right? I'm pretty sure I saved. Let Jay take a look at you. She will ease your pain. Succeeded. Okay. 𝕻𝖆 goes still allowing you to examine you. Treat his wounds in places where implant meets fresh with antiseptic ointments and apply targeted stimulants to alleviate his pain. His frightening breathing begins to even out. Okay. The 𝕻𝖆 stops. The poor man's shoulders slowly slump and the convulsions steadily subside. His lucidity does not last long. The amalgam's eyes soon go blank and his mouth stretches to a blissful smile. Rocking peacefully and drooling, he murmurs broken snippets from his former life and prayers to the Emperor. Absurd! Unacceptable! Eogunn scans the 𝕻𝖆, fiercely pounding the keys of his microcogitator mounted on his torso. You have succeeded in pacifying him, but the 𝕻𝖆 is rejecting the attempts of the implant's machine spirits to contain the cognitive entropy. Okay. Total personality degradation is inevitable. I must reassemble him. Okay. To do it again? I mean, yeah, Captain Guppo was like, yeah, sure. My quite oddity has become sending up his decks and let the officers marvel and make wait. Send him to the upper decks and let the officers marvel and make sport of him? No, I'll encourage his experiments. Why not? I kind of like Eogunn. I like him. Alright, Eogunn, do it again. The 𝕻𝖆 suddenly stops mumbling and begins spasming violently as bloody foam spills from his mouth. He turns as his face, contorted with hatred, towards the manipulus. A strangulated roar erupts from that unfortunate man's throat just before he lunges for Eogunn. Better death than that! Begone! Begone! Aww. Twitching ever. Look at it. That's a ragdoll. The tech... Wait, is he still twitching? Let me see. No, he's not twitching anymore, unfortunately. The tech priest looks gloomier than a cloud. A rogue traitor. I'm experiencing a cognitive block. I've analyzed every possible failure hypothesis and double-checked every step I made, and have failed to identify a single mistake. The organic parts in the Ferrum Sanctum joined together perfectly. The brain was perfectly preserved. These complications should never have occurred, and yet the outcome cannot be denied. My calculations were perfectly correct. This is an uncontrovertible fact. So is the flaw in conditions or the subjects themselves? The work of the first all purpose. I mean, that sounds like something that Captain Guppo would say. People are divided into useful and the useless. All three of these test subjects were part of these revealed the more of their specimen. Yeah, that's probably something Captain Guppo would say. People are divided into useful and the useless, Eogunn. All three of your test subjects were piteous rubbish. Repeat the experiments with worthy specimens. The manipulus clamps a hand to his forehead. Of course! The main criteria of the experiment of our reproducibility and consistency. One failed trial and I'm ready to give up? Absurd! That's not the way knowledge works. Is rejecting injured subjects with healthy ones truly the answer? I have to rethink this selection criteria, and it is most certainly in order. Okay, cool. Oh, Stream Boo, what's up? Stream Boo. Stream Boo. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Stream Boo. Well, that was an interesting Interesting little adventure. Okay. Let's see here. Anything else? Junk. That's fine. And the mangled aquila from the entrance gleams in the puddle of oil and blood, the only remainder of the tragedy. Inside this box, a string of scratched letters runs along the edge, different first names, but the same surname. It looks like this box has been passed down in the family from generation to generation. That's fine. Let's see. Anything else?
A new challenge for me.
Go down here, maybe. There's probably nothing else here. Lower deck rabble. Any junk, trash. You have a noble rogue trader from a noble line of halflings rummaging through the trash. Thank you, Glado. Good boy. Cool. Lower deck rabble. Anything else? Anything else? The pages where the start of each shift is marked. The last mark is what's missing. The workers went on strike. Strike? What is that word? Strike. Strikey. Strike? I don't understand. I think it's this one. Strike? Like to strike a person? Is that what you mean? Let's see. Formation. Looks fine. Yeah. Cool. We haven't really talked to Eogunn in person, have we? So, what was I thinking about talking about? The more recent Warhammer 40,000 games. There's that. Let's see here. What else? It's almost done. Orcs. Yeah, we're thinking about talking about orcs, right? I think... Yeah, we can, like, I don't know. Did we actually, like, talk? We tried to... I think we might have, like, talked about potentially building what we would have as an orc character in a future DLC for Rogue Trader. I was of the mind that it should be an orc weird boy. Like, it shouldn't be a melee orc. It should be a psyker, right? And it would have a very interesting, like, it would have like another tracker, maybe like another like WA energy tracker. It wouldn't utilize the veil system, or maybe it would. I don't think it would use the veil system. I think it would, or maybe it would. I don't know. Let's actually plan that out, right? So it's almost done, but we could say like just based off of and the initial concept, right? The very, very basis, right? So there is an orc weird boy. Allows you. He's a psyker. He can utilize. You can gear him a lot of different ways, right? And he's not quite 100% orky because he is an odd boy, right? He's a part of a cast of orcs that doesn't really conform to any of the other like roles in an orc like biosphere. So you can kind of like play around with the concept of orc character like pretty readily, right? So definitely want an orc weird boy, right? But let's see here. What are we gonna do? Talk to Eogunn. Eogunn. Talk to Pascal. See if he has an opinion about Eogunn. It's like right over here, isn't he? Here's Pascal. He's down here. Whoa. Pascal?
The Messiah knows all, comprehends all.
The mech androids growing out of the tech priest's back swivel in your direction as if examining you with curiosity. Strange messages have been appearing in the ship's log. What do you know about this error?
This statement is true. Algorithmic violations have been recorded, as a result of which I twice performed an offering to the cogitators of corrected data vows and ruled out the possibility of sabotage. I hypothesize that the violation is a consequence of the discontent of the ship's machine spirits. I recommend a procedure of placation of the honored spirits for the glory of the Messiah and the steel angels sent by him.
Okay. Well, he's not going to talk about Eogunn.
May your labors be
Okay, cool. Maybe that's like my own prejudice, right? My own limited understanding of like tech priests, right? I mean, like people from one race are not going to like know every other race or have an opinion on every the same race. You know what I'm saying? So maybe I'm just being racist against tech priests.
Your timing is impeccable. I am ready to discuss the fascinating experiment we have.
I love this guy. I do.
Bionica, and on other decks.
Okay. You want to discuss the results of the so-called 𝕿𝖵𝖊𝖊𝖚?
Indeed. After processing all the data, including your invaluable contribution,
Was it invaluable? Okay, sure. I guess so.
My dear colleague and I engaged in a lengthy debate. My cognitive block has been resolved at last.
Okay.
We must repeat the experiment.
Sure.
We need to identify several control groups, correlate all the factors, and carefully record the results. You don't discard a hypothesis after a single failure. You must gather evidence. The path of knowledge demands it. For the Omnissiah blesses the resilient mind and willingness to make sacrifices. Only once I have exhausted all possibilities and examined the full range of data will I be prepared to admit defeat.
Does your Silver Skull agree with you?
We have managed to reach a consensus on the root of the problem. The rest can be overlooked. He is not convinced by all my conclusions, but that is no terrible thing. He and I share a common path, but we each have our own methods of comprehending it.
So it seems like you have learned something valuable, which does mean this experiment was not in vain.
Precisely. A man chooses what he is made of. Regrets for his past mistakes, or the experience he gained from them. Only those who choose the latter course can attain true wisdom.
Well said.
Thank you.
Oh,
You
okay.
helped me cope with a situation that was beyond my control, and to recognize my mistakes. And that is worth a great deal. I was considering using this implant in an experiment, but I thought it too valuable to waste on the laity.
We got
Please, accept it as a gift.
a lot of experience from this quest, too. Little side tangent. Adaptive Hemofilter MK Officer. Using common stimulants does not inflict negative effects. That's pretty good. Whenever the user grants an ally an extra turn, any stimulants used by that ally during that turn does not inflict negative effects. Wait, whenever the user grants an ally an extra turn, any stimulants used by that ally during the turn does not affect negative effects. That's interesting. I could do that for Captain Guppo. Or I could just keep it for now. Interesting. Yeah, I'd like to learn more about you. Your speech differs from any other tech pieces. Do you not have a voice modulator?
To think that all tech priests speak exclusively like machines is a widespread misconception among the laity. We may strive to draw closer to the machine god, but we remain part of the human race. How exactly a tech priest achieves this oneness is the choice of each individual ordained in the priesthood of Mars, depending largely on personal characteristics, practical considerations, and interpretations of the tenets of the faith. Of course, many attune their language to machine cant or even prefer not to use flesh speak at all. It is then easier for them to make contact with machine spirits.
That's true. I would probably disagree with him on the fact that, like, a lot of tech priests, like, I think a lot of tech priests do not consider themselves to be part of the human race, even if they won't say it out loud.
For myself, however, a key aspect of the machine god is his omniscience. I gather wisdom, and that includes from communicating with laypersons. To this end, standard low Gothic has so far proved to be the most useful. However, this does not negate the fact that I am able to speak all the binaric dialects of Mars, if circumstances so demand.
I think we were talking about, I was talking about this last stream, but what was it? Binary, Technolingua, and Machine Cant are the ones that I'm familiar with. And I can speak those fluently. 10111. No. Maybe to know more about augments. I want to know about Nucius. You mentioned that you have knowledge about Xenos. You wish to debate. Let's begin with something simple. What is the meaning of what is the meaning of life? Simple debate. Okay. Oh, should know more. Sure. Augments. Tell me about augments.
I can only encourage such a thirst for knowledge. Ask away.
What augments do you have? Hypothetically, lumen buried and burned out of my chambers. Could your galvanic cell revive it? These are placed related to organic. Most of these are more implants. I guess, what is the Adeptus Mechanicus view on augmentations among the laity? Well, I mean, they do, like, depending on what your station is, what your caste is in society, like, the quality of augmentations is going to be, like, suffer, right?
A difficult question, and thus an interesting one. From the perspective of the cult Mechanicus, augmentation is an unalloyed good. Flesh is weak, and replacing it brings us closer to the Omnissiah. But this good is also a supreme privilege. Every augmetic is a man-made miracle that glorifies the machine god. And not every layperson is worthy of such a blessing. The majority of laypersons who have lost limbs or organs are at best furnished with the most rudimentary prosthetics, if any at all. The exceptions are those who hold key posts in the Imperium, or who cannot perform their duties without replacing their organics with more efficient equivalents. And naturally, there are exceptional individuals, such as rogue traders, who can afford the best augments at the wave of their hand. Or rather, its loss. Just think about it. You are one of untold billions, and you succeeded in becoming a statistical improbability. How could one perceive anything in these metaphysical mathematics but the design of the machine god?
Okay. May I ask what augmentics you have?
I have a great many of them, and most possess rather esoteric functions that are difficult to explain to a layperson. The most obvious is the galvanic cell.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think.
My hull is quite heavy, so it is supported by a gravitic core, mechadendrites, of course, an alembic with an alchemical synthesizer, auxiliary cogitators, an eye with magnifiers and analyzers, a respiratory...
I got all that. So yeah, the galvanic cell in his belly, that's what I was talking about earlier. So that's what allows him to harness motive force electricity.
My dearest colleague suggests that my answer is becoming tiresome. If you are curious, I would be pleased to attempt to compose a treatise on my construction. But the more difficult task will be to give it a form comprehensible to a layperson.
Your face is very organic. Most tech priests have more implants.
If my physiognomy offends you, there is no need to hide it behind feigned interest. However, I will answer on the hypothesis that your question is sincere. My face looks as it does because that is how I prefer it. A Vox grill is practical, but there is something about speaking my thoughts aloud via an organic vocal apparatus.
Preference.
Consider it
Personal
my
preference.
little extravagance. Besides, appearances are deceiving. My internals have been extensively augmented, and I am fully fluent in lingua technis and binaric.
I think his like metal beard probably is his a modified like Vox grill. So that's probably how he speaks binaric or technolinguist.
My dearest colleague amply meets all other communication needs.
Or maybe he speaks through his servo skull. With his silence, Nuncius makes it clear that communication need for further discussion has been decisively met. Ah, yes, fascinating. Tell me more about yourself. Your robes, are they from Stygius?
Can anyone truly know the essence of another person? For a veil of words often shrouds meaning that cannot be discovered in one brief conversation. Then again, all the greatest works on human nature began with scant material. Ask your questions, rogue trader.
Your black robes seem familiar to me.
No, not all. The robes of tech priests often vary from world to world. They're imbued with symbolism that reflects the principles of a particular branch of the tech priesthood. Red is the color of Mars. It is present in the robes of each world as an homage to the red planet. White symbolizes the purity of machines and sacred augmetics.
Okay.
One is compelled to carry a certain stigma living
Ah!
in 𝕽𝖆𝖊𝖊𝖚. Certain
Amazing.
theological disputes often lead to conflict with our fellow clergy. Black symbolizes our guardedness and otherness, while with red we emphasize the purity of our faith in the owlcat and our fellowship with the rest of the cult Mechanicus.
Okay. And you hail from 𝕽𝖆𝖊𝖊𝖚.
𝕽𝖆𝖊𝖊𝖚 is a forge world located on one of the moons of a gas giant in the binary star system of Vulcanus.
I think it's not too far away.
Place,
I mean, it is, but it
stretching
isn't.
from horizon to horizon, mighty manufactorums crisscross the moon's surface, producing armaments and equipment. For the armies of the segmentum solar, the designs and patterns we produce are unequaled in the galaxy. The huge titans of the Legio Honorum tower over cohorts of Skitarii, making ready to escort countless expeditions, ravenous for knowledge and lost technology.
So wait, I think 𝕽𝖆𝖊𝖚, 𝕽𝖆𝖊𝖚. So we have the Cronus Expanse on the map, then the Calixtus Sector, then the next one over. What was it? Let me see if I can remember. That's the sector that the Inquisitor books took place in, right? The Eisenhorn books, right? And then below that is Cadia, and I think around that, maybe to northeast, is Gothic, and where 𝕽𝖆𝖊𝖚 is around that. So it's like, yeah, not as far away as like Terra, right? But it's closer than a lot of other places. I think it's probably closer than. I don't know if it's closer than Cadia, but close-ish.
And beneath them, deep within the moon itself, lies a labyrinth of archives and laboratories where many sages cultivate knowledge and conduct experiments in the name of understanding the will of the machine god. Nuncius and I spent our adolescence and part of our adulthood there before we were permitted to leave our cells for the cabins of expedition ships and the tents of field camps. I miss my home, but I do not regret leaving it. For stagnation is the enemy of knowledge.
That's true. Persuasion, 69, almost 70%. What theological disputes did you have with the other tech priests?
The tech priests of 𝕽𝖆𝖊𝖚 are most dogged in their acquisition of samples of xenotechnology. Under our doctrine, any methods used to gain an advantage over the enemies of humanity are justified, so long as they do not cross the line into heresy. As you may have guessed, where exactly that line lies has been the subject of debate and discord for centuries.
I see.
This means that we are often compelled to ensure a certain level of secrecy in our work, which only increases suspicions about our world. But for the sake of the Imperium's victory, we are prepared to live with this stigma. That is an incontrovertible fact.
Do you know Pascal? I seem to recall that he served on Alta Templum Calixtus X-17. You did not know him?
The Omnissiah's providence did not bring us together. The temple is quite vast, and it is no surprise that two learned men never once crossed paths. After all, each of us is blessed with our own function, and fulfilling that function is a solitary effort.
Makes sense.
Really? My dearest colleague states that Magos Haneman and I once passed each other in Service Conduit 91-R. The esteemed Magos chided me for some minor neglect in the presentation of my augments, After which, having each voiced our opinions, we parted ways.
Interesting.
It seems I considered this event to be inconsequential, and it has escaped my memory.
Well, interesting, the way things work. Tell me about your research. What are you trying to understand exactly?
I have dedicated my life to many questions. The blessings of the fusion of organics and machines, the search for virtue in their separate existence, the possibility of prolonging the functioning of flesh through genetics and alchemy. The machine god is perfect in all his manifestations. This is the truth and an incontrovertible fact. But it seems to me that attempts to become like him exclusively through augmetics, though good in their righteousness, do not fully reflect his design. For the organic body is nothing but a biological machine whose components can be replaced and improved by genetic transmutation.
Interesting take. Some would agree on that opinion of your law.
I believe the truth lies somewhere between these two paths, and both lead to my ultimate goal, my magnum opus, to challenge death itself as a phenomenon, bringing humanity closer to the eternity of the Omnisire.
I'm sure this is going to go well. Thank you.
As has mine. Questions
And
can
knowledge about
reveal more
Xenos, which
about the
debates.
Master
We don't debate
than
him.
anything they may say about themselves.
I'm curious about Nuncius.
My dearest colleague is incredibly flattered by the attention. Please, ask your questions.
What is he?
He is my dearest colleague and indispensable assistant.
Is he more than a typical servo skull? Typically they are without complex thought.
A superb question. It is quite difficult to explain to a lay person, but I will try. To put it quite crudely, Nuncius helps me to think. He constitutes an exceptionally
I think I kinda
complex
get it.
network of algorithms that augment my own. They contain conflicting points of view that seek out flaws in my reasoning, and information that is more useful to me if it is not kept in my own head. So I delegate it to him. He's
So
wholly unique.
there's a selection of beings, right? They're like the equivalent of like robots in any other sci-fi setting. Like anything made from like servo stock, like servitors, servo skulls, and other servo creatures. Like they definitely have different functions. Servo skulls are generally made from very important or well-regarded servants or colleagues, right? So there was someone called Nuncius at some point in time, and then Eogunn, he died. Eogunn harvests his skull, and probably his brain, whatever function left. Like servo skulls are not always, they don't necessarily have a fully functioning organic brain. Maybe they have, like all servo stock creatures have a little bit of a fusion of organic and technical components, enough so that one necessarily doesn't override the other, but their functionality is more like limited compared to like a tech priest, right? So I think what like functionality wise, it works exactly like a computer. Like there's still like bits of brain matter and bits of organic stuff in like that cogitator that's right next to us. Same in like the servo skull. Like it's the same, like functionality wise, the same as a typical like sci-fi computer. So I think what he's saying is that like Nuncius's role as a servo skull, he just has like another he's a, what would you call it? Just a memory bank for him to kind of like make data processes a little bit more fluid. How long have you been together?
We have shared a cell since our novitiate on 𝕽𝖌𝖚𝖊𝖊𝖗. 138 planetary cycles and 72 days have elapsed since then. It may not be accurate in a temporal sense, but you could say we have been together my whole life.
Well, planetary cycles is not going to be like the same for every single like planet, right? But he could be like over 100 years old. So interesting. A warm smile touches Eogunn's lips. I mean, how am I going to speak to him? I'll speak to him through Eogunn. Nuncius, can you translate? Eogunn?
I will take it upon myself to interpret his words. But I beg your pardon in advance for falling far short of my dearest colleague in terms of rhetorical elegance.
Well, he's always silent because he doesn't have any voice modulator. He doesn't have any parts. I was opinion of Eogunn. You're a really clever one in this partnership. How many times a day is Eogunn saying incarcerable fact? Can you understand me?
Yes.
Why are you always silent? What's your opinion on Eogunn? Admit you're a really clever one in this partnership, aren't you? How many? No, well, he'll just give a number. I kind of want to know a little bit more about him, more than like yes or no answers. Admit it. You're the clever one in this partnership, aren't you?
Nuncius, what an appalling thing to say. Our partnership is perfectly equal. Keep your mischief-making to yourself, and don't mislead the rogue trader.
Thank you for your conversation, Nuncius.
Nuncius states that this conversation has stimulated and enriched him.
Would I offend him if I mean, I guess Captain Guppo wouldn't care about offending anyone. Eogunn, be honest with me. Is Nuncius an abominable intelligence? That's very rude.
Are you truly asking me if I have violated one of the Omnissiah's core commandments as blithely as if you were asking to borrow my stylus?
Yes.
No. 1,000 times no. How could such a thing even be wrought from a single servo skull? A wicked mind of that caliber would require a receptacle of significant cogitational potential. I am deeply outraged by this insinuation.
Oh no.
And simultaneously flattered by your assessment of my skills.
Well, I had to know. Okay. So, yeah, it's just kind of more like, I think it's probably more like the relationship of, like, you have a very smart cat, you know? Or, like, just the dog bringing you stuff, you know? It has, you can sense, like, certain mannerisms from, like, animals that you've had for a long time. I think that's kind of the relationship. Nuncius is sanguine and as passive as ever.
My dearest colleague asks me to convey that he does not share my strong emotions, and humbly apologizes for this outburst. He also swears before the machine god that he was created according to all the canons of sacred engineering, and that he is not a sacrilegious perversion of his design.
That is all I wish to ask.
Nuncius says that he will leave a channel for inquiries about his biography and personal qualities.
How long are we going to talk to this guy? You mentioned you had a knowledge of Xenos.
The rank of Genitor grants me the right to study their foul anatomy and behavior for the purposes of identifying their weaknesses.
Okay.
I have personally dissected more than one specimen, and have even preserved specific body parts for further investigation. I research and study their technology to the same end. There is no shame in using our enemies' weapons against them, no matter what some narrow-minded colleagues may say.
And what kind of Xenos do you study?
The mythical kind, shall we say. The subject of my research is an ancient, unusually advanced xeno-civilization. Some among the tech clergy call them Niflheimics, believing them to be the first creations of the Omnissiah. Others call them iron anathemas, considering them to be the spawn of abominable intelligence. But the initiated know them as Necrons. And believe me, the hand of the machine god has never touched these monstrous creatures.
I see.
After more than 1 decade of searching, I have amassed a modest collection of objects that belonged to these Necrons. But I have never succeeded in understanding the purpose of most of them. Many believe that Necrons died out long ago, leaving behind only ruins of black rock. But I do not believe so. They exist still, and they are closer than they seem.
I see. A lore Xenos succeeded. You have heard drunken voidfarers dread tales and speculation about the metal creatures that do not know death. None of these stories ever sound plausible, let alone convincing. What objects do you have in your collection?
That's the beauty of it. I don't know. Allow me to specify. It includes objects of mostly regular forms, cubes, spheres, cylinders, made of unknown black stone or metal. Many are covered in glyphs or patterns that cannot be deciphered. Fascinating trinkets that I have spent years studying, but have never progressed beyond flimsy theories that cannot be confirmed experimentally. Perhaps my approach is fundamentally flawed, or the objects are non-functional, or perhaps they simply do not want anyone to root out their secrets. It's a mystery, a stimulating mystery.
You believe that they are somehow alive?
I have encountered inconsistencies in my research. Ghost colonies with fresh tracks that match the descriptions of these Xenos from various sources. Adeptus Mechanicus expeditions that plunged into obsidian ruins, never to return. Gaps in the knowledge repositories of individual worlds, as if someone had been trying to hide information. In isolation, all these are unexplained coincidences. But if I analyze the cumulative frequency of the events and the systems in which they occurred, and compare them to the few things I do know, I can detect certain patterns. The ancient Xenos are exhibiting activity.
Very interesting. It looks like this person is talking about the Necrons for one members of the Catan, if I'm right. Yeah. It sounds this sounds more like more than a belief. He has encountered these mythical Xenos, or come very close to doing so. Eogunn, have you seen the Necrons in person?
An interesting question. I will answer it with another. Would I be able to tell a layperson of such an encounter without breaking my vows to the cult Mechanicus? This question does not require an answer. Just food for thought.
So the Mechanicus would swear him to secrecy for just encountering Necrons? Interesting. Well, because like I know it's like I don't think there's much has come of the plot line of the main Warhammer 40,000 timeline, but so in the very like lightless depths of Mars. Okay, well I should probably say on a side tangent, right? So there are star gods in this universe. There are like kind of primordial entities, not too unlike the gods of the warp, but they are like material for the most part. They're not like based in the energy dimension of the warp. They are like beyond our perceptions of like life and death, and are the constraints of like what like physics can actually impose upon natural creatures, right? The Necrons back in the day, when they were flesh and blood, they gave the star gods living metal bodies so they can interact with the material world a little bit more so, and that enabled them to understand that they could like feast on reality, stars, and like sentient life, right? It's all bad, right? But they were incredibly powerful creatures. They eventually had to be split into each main star god had to be split into multiple different like fragments of its essence in order to kind of like contain its power. But one of the main star gods is called the Void Dragon, right? And I think I mentioned a little bit about him on one of a previous stream. So the Emperor, just as another side tangent, right? Before I continue, the Void Dragon, one of his shards, however, more than one or a larger shard, smaller. I don't know if you can really pin like a size to a star god, but so the Emperor, he has a lot of like phases in our actual history. One of them was Saint George, right? In the tale of Saint George and the Dragon. So back in the old days, in our past, right? Saint George, who like slayed the dragon, and like I think he dragged his corpse around or something like that. That was the Emperor, right? It's a tale that comes from that. So, and I have to mention, yeah, it's been a while since actually like we talked about this story, but the Emperor took the Star God. This is before the Emperor, as far as we knew, had a reliable transportation from Earth to Mars, right? So this is back in the ye old days before like space travel and stuff like that. So the Emperor defeated the Void Dragon, this like cosmic entity, right? And defeated him, pacified him, and locked him up in the depths of Mars itself. How did he do that? We don't really know, right? But a couple stories do touch on the fact that the Void Dragon, when like Mars was eventually like populated and the cult of Mechanicus eventually arose, they did discover the Emperor's prison of a shard of the Void Dragon, right? But like, so the Necrons weren't using the. See, this is the one thing I'm a little bit unclear on. The Necrons. So I'm getting to the main story. So essentially, the Necron might be worshiping this thing. That's what I'm getting built to. Or the tech priest might be worshiping the Necron star god. But the thing is, I don't think that the Necrons use any other shards of the Void Dragon. So it almost makes me think that the being that's entombed in Mars is like the full Void Dragon, which would be kind of weird because. But anyways, like this, the priests, the people of Mars, the people who knew what was buried under Mars, they started worshiping it, right? And a lot of people say that that's where the priesthood of Mars came from, like the worship of the 𝕽𝖆𝖊𝖊, the machine god from the Necron star god, right? So that has a lot of different faiths and a lot of different a lot of different branches that kind of leads the tech priest to talk about the Necrons. Long story for a short answer, right? So the Star God is imprisoned currently. I think it's still currently imprisoned in Mars in the current 40K timeline. I think Rogue Trader, the cRPG that we're playing right now, I think it takes place in the current 40K timeline. I'm fairly certain it does. So I think that Star God is still imprisoned. The Void Dragon, right? I think some of the shards did escape because the Necrons can feel the Star Dragon shards now. So I don't know what the deal is with that. It's a little bit nebulous, but so I think like a lot of the very upper levels of the tech cults are probably trying, like, the knowledge that this is a Void Dragon is probably slowly starting to seep out. So maybe that's based on why Eogunn can't talk a little bit more about the Necrons in a certain way, you know? I think a lot of the tech priests do try to keep the Necrons a secret because of the relationship to the 𝕽𝖊𝖊𝖊. I think it's just in more recent 40K, like just now, released within the last year, the lore is, I think the Necrons became more aware that they are like a galactic threat to the Imperium. Like I think that the priesthood of Mars was kind of like downplaying that. Like the Imperium knew the Necrons were a problem in a lot of different star systems, but it's like if one or two worlds in like among millions of worlds like dies, it's just like another day in the Imperium, right? So they probably knew that the Necrons were a threat, but not like a galactic scale threat, right? And that's most recently came to light. So I don't know if this has anything to do with that. Let's talk about something else.
I look forward to seeing what new topic of discussion you
Are we going to debate? Sure. Let's. You wish to debate my magnificent brain, Eogunn? I challenge you to a debate. Let us begin with something simple. What is the meaning of life?
Splendid. It has been a long time.
Fight! Smart fights.
Including my dearest colleague, of course.
Yes.
So,
I challenge you.
I have never understood why some thinkers present this question as something profound, when the answer is utterly trivial. The meaning of life is determined by a person's position in the hierarchy of the Imperium and where he or she is deployed. But ultimately, what it comes down to is supporting the functioning of the system.
Oh, okay. You can see outside the bubble a little bit.
The worker produces or processes a resource. The soldier destroys enemies. The governor ensures order and the shipment of tithes. The meaning of my life is to advance the quest for knowledge, thus fulfilling the function granted to me by the Omnissiah. As I said, an utterly unoriginal question.
Interesting. So I think Nuncius is kind of like more like like a memory storage, but also it kind of it's probably another aspect of Eogunn's like mind, kind of talking to each other. It's that kind of like relationship. I kind of get the feeling of it's like that, and it's also like a very smart pet, right? Like that kind of like relationship. Its functions, or the function of meaning of life to simplify even further. Imperium is the meaning of life. I disagree. Person choose what they live for. But Nuncius, do you agree with Eogunn?
My dearest colleague has accused me of oversimplifying matters. He believes that in trying to convey my point of view, I neglected many of the nuances you set forth in the question, and thus gave a trite answer myself. But he considers the general premise to be correct, albeit riddled with holes.
Okay. Do you believe this can reduce one's function? So when a function is the meaning of life, to simplify even further, Imperium is the meaning of our lives. I disagree with the person who chooses what they live for. I believe life has no meaning. So what is the function of my life, Eogunn?
You are the quintessence of the will of the Imperium. Your purpose in life is to expand it and strengthen its power where other subjects cannot reach. You do not explore the frontier.
See,
You are the frontier.
I kind of like certain settings like this. Whenever I kind of go and talk about like IPs and various like fantasy and sci-fi settings, I like the fact that you can kind of break down like our philosophical debates in like kind of like take them with like paint them with a coat of paint from like this world, right? Like how would a person from this world like see certain things? I kind of like thinking about stuff like that. It's very interesting. What would Captain Guppo say? Choose what they live for. I don't know. Like I feel like Captain Guppo, would he say any of this stuff? Function further Imperium. To simplify what you're saying even further, is the Imperium is the meaning of our lives.
Brilliant! You have grasped the very crux of the matter and articulated it with concision. Nuncius, make note of the rogue trader's phrasing, and I will add it to my catalogue of arguments. Am I right in thinking that we have reached a consensus?
Nevertheless, I still won the debate. Okay, whatever. Yes, I'm pleased that we know the world in the same. Not quite. If in God Emperor, he wouldn't say that. As soon as I said it, I realized how roguely tried it. Sounds like I lost all interest in this discussion. He wouldn't say that. Absolutely. Nevertheless, I still won the debate.
Of course, rogue trader. I admit defeat.
Sure, I don't know.
Debate technique is highly unconventional. In which case, I suggest we conclude our disputation. You have already given me sufficient food for thought.
He twists a piston in his beard. Take. I no longer wish to see you in my retinue after all that. Okay, well, interesting.
I find our conversation stimulating.
Okay,
and
interesting.
I will look forward to your...
Okay, well, interesting. I like that. I think I would have liked more options in the debate dialogue. Hopefully there's more debates. I like that. Let's see, Space Hobbits is... Okay, so let's go to Dargonis, and we'll follow up on the DLC quest. And maybe we'll do a Dargonis quest too. See, what time is it? It is We got 20 minutes, like 50 minutes. That's fine. 50 minutes, I should say. Interesting. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, it's too late now. Huh? What's going on? Where am my visits? Yes. So yeah, we're trying to build a DLC for Orc Weird Boy character, right? We might not have enough time before the load screen goes away, but in terms of like what he is, we would have to have an option for him to be. Would he be? Since he's an odd boy, he should be able to tackle normal roles from like the archetype tree, right? Let's see here. Boop. So like say character archetype, like officer, like an orc officer, orc blade master, orc stuff like that. I think orc warrior. I think that's, well, he'd definitely have his first archetype would be warrior, right? Let me see here. Can I go? I kind of don't want to go back to the bridge just yet, but let me see here. Boop. Back to bridge. Because I am kind of curious about something. So let's go back in here. Because I do want to talk about this before we actually end the stream. So Orc Weird Boy, I think just based on like how they're presenting the characters, I don't think that they would just make an Orc Weird like a companion to not have the archetype system, like to have his own thing, because that would kind of suck if like you like owlcat wise, if they designed a character who is like its own unique thing and didn't use the archetype system, and like they put all this resources into it and then the players just don't pick up the character. That would kind of suck. But I think that would make sense for this new character to be a warrior, because you don't want him to be, you want him to be kind of like, it's going to be a psyker, right? And it's going to have a number of additional abilities like given to the companion, right? Mostly based off of what an Orc Weird Boy had in the pen and paper RPG, right? But what I'm doing, I'm actually going over to the mercenary recruitment screen, because I want to take a look at the archetype screen. Let's see. Von Valencius. No. Let's see. What should I have a new augment installed? Okay, that's interesting. Retinue. So, do another mercenary if we really wanted to. Custom character. Appearance. Sure. Whatever. Still loading. What's going on? Let's see. Boop. Convictions. Sure. Homeworld. Sure. So, death. So his homeworld would be Weird Boy, right? So he would have, I think Weird Boy. Let's look this up really quick. Give me 1 second. I do want to kind of spend a little bit of time on this because it is something that I am interested in talking about it with you guys. So we'll go here. We'll go. I think I actually have the PDF on my. I have pretty much all of the Warhammer 40,000 role-playing books from Fantasy Flight Games. Streaming. Give me 1 second, because I think I have Into the Storm. No, wait. It's not Into the Storm that actually has it. It is, let's see, Rogue Trader, PDFs. That was the Navis Primer, I want to say. So, boop. Let's go over here really quick. Internets. So, the Navis Primer, right? Should have a character option for it's like Adversaries, Path of the Mind, Orc Weird Boys. Yeah, 48. Okay, Orc Weird Boys. So, Orc Weird Boys in a scrap space. So mostly from what I remember, Orc Weird Boys, they have their own power system, right? But their characteristics, they have so they have less they really bad ballistic skill. So you probably wouldn't be able to do so. Warrior makes more sense to pick for this guy. So you have bonus to strength, I would say strength and toughness, and penalties to ballistic skill and fellowship. That sounds reasonable, right? So let's see. Let's go back here really quick. So with that said, so what is, they all have like +2 or plus. So they would have certain things like maybe like Medicaid is generally like harder to use on alien physiology. I don't think our Eldar companions have that penalty. Like you can heal Eldar companions fine. There's no penalty to that in the cRPG, right? So we wouldn't have that for the Orc character. We would have a penalty plus 5 strength, plus 5 toughness, and then intelligence and fellowship, and then there would be kind of like Orc physiology kind of stuff. And what else would he have? We can actually come back to that just to kind of like streamline this a little bit. So background, so his homeworld would be Orc. Get a bunch of like different stuff, make him a little bit more durable. Maybe have another like bar alongside 𝕉𝖊 that kind of increases the amount of Wa energy, the more momentum he has. Kind of like almost like a psychic berserker, right? That this Orc companion would actually get. So the more it fills, the more the more penalties it puts onto 𝕉𝖊, but the more he becomes more stronger and faster, that sort of thing. And the more chaotic the battle becomes, that's what he would be doing, right? So Astronomical Commander archetypes. So archetypes is what I wanted to see. So it'd make more sense for his starting thing to be warrior, right? Not officer, operative, soldier, blade dancer. No, it'd be warrior, right? So warriors, so he has like charge abilities. He's not going to have tank. He's going to be, I think, warrior, who has, like Solomon has, no, Solomon doesn't have warrior. Solomon is like a officer, I want to say. I think it's just like Abelard is the only warrior character, right? No, yeah. I think it's the Space Marine character is warrior and Abelard. I think that's it. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But so it would be Archmilitant, Executioner. I think Executioner, something you would look, because he's not this character wouldn't be a tank. I guess this would be kind of up to you, right? So if you wanted to, because the starting character would be, the starting archetype would be warrior. That's what our Orc weird boy is born into. So he has psychic powers. He has another meter that's a lot. I don't know. I don't like the idea. Well, I don't know. See, the thing is that Orcs kind of don't use, it's like they utilize a variant of the warp called the Wa, right? Well, the Wa means a lot of different things, but like the Wa energy does interact with warp energy, right? So I don't think you can kind of separate like a Wa meter. So he's going to start off with a Wa meter, and it's the more he like builds up certain things, the more he has characters next to him. He's going to get more Wa energy, and when his meter is full, he's going to be able to utilize it in order to do like crazy stuff, right? So he's going to start off with warrior. And you can make him into, it seems so weird to have him into like a vanguard or archmilitant or anything like that. Can you do soldier? Would that make more sense? Master technician, bounty hunter, archmilitant. I think it would make more sense if he was a warrior. But then you can get, yeah. And it seems kind of weird to say like he can be an assassin. But the thing is, like, odd boys are not like normal orcs, right? So, and he is an odd boy that has been, he's probably like he's a freebooter. So he's he employs himself with humans, right? He's a mercenary. He does mercenary work, right? So it's possible that you can consider like an orc. It sounds kind of weird to be like an orc arc militant or an orc vanguard, but I could see that. So you can just kind of choose what he's going to be, right? So from that, and then he has, so I think, yeah, what we've established, he's going to have a homeworld. Let's go back to the PDF really quick, and then we'll go back to the game. So, so let me see if some of the things we can actually translate. Make it work. Might makes right. So might makes right is amongst all orcs, size and authority is synonymous when dealing with other greenskins. So essentially, might makes right allows an orc to deal with what would normally be charisma skills to be strength. It is replaced with your strength score. That's what kind of might makes right with, right? Maybe that could be an ability he gets. Orc origins clans, we know what's orc characteristics, starting wounds. Made for fighting traits and abilities, common skills. Ard. Orcs are Ard might be actually a good thing to start off with. Orcs are extremely resilient, and their bodies are capable of withstanding surviving injury. They will kill humans and recovering swiftly enough for even the most grievous wounds. So it would manipulate their toughness characteristic in the cRPG that we're actually designing. So this orc character has Ard. I don't know how you translate unnatural toughness to the cRPG. That would be like, I guess you get bonuses on saves versus like poisons and stuff like that. Maybe you have stuff like you get back up. You can't go below, like once per combat, you can't go below like 1 hit point. I think that would be something I could see happening. Yeah, like you have a chance to just like keep on fighting. Made for fighting. Battle is natural to orcs, and many of the battle abilities needed to wage war are part of them both. You gain a charge. You gain a bonus to charge, and the furious assault, and the Eogunn's weapon orc talents. And keep in mind, like this expansion would definitely give you a bunch of like orc type gear. Now, lore-wise, canon, a lot of orc gear doesn't only function within the biosphere of the Wa, right? So like orcs picture a technology or something to work, thus it does. And the more Wa energy is saturated within a biosphere, the stronger that reality comes into place, right? So if you take it outside an orc gun outside of a biosphere, orc guns do not work, right? But I could see like a cRPG making the case for if you have this orc character in your retinue, then you are able to use orc technology because he believes it's so, right? And plus you get a lot of different gear in order to give to rogue traders, which a lot of players would really love, I would say. Mob rule. So mob rule, orcs grow in confidence. This is an interesting rule. That kind of like has a good, interesting variant in this RPG, right? So orcs grow in confidence and brutality in the presence of their own kind. Their enthusiasm for violence heightened by every other orc nearby. So for every friendly orc within 10 meters, the orc receives a +10 bonus to resist the fear and pinning. So it's like resist like fear effects, right? So mob rule. So there is a talent that orc characters can get called the next best thing, right? So next best thing is like you can gain Wa energy from other races, which is interesting. Like well, it specifically says I think it says from humans. Like where's next best thing? Next best thing. The next best thing. The orc has become sufficiently familiar and comfortable around non-orcs. Okay, it's not just humans. So he draws them because I did have kind of a theory that humans also have kind of like a variant of like Wa energy, because that's how they are able to like do faith powers that like bypass warp resistance. When determining the bonus of willpower gained from Rob World Trade, the orc counts as every. So like essentially like you get next best thing on this orc character that we're designing, and like I so say for every human, for every party member that is close to the orc character, you gain next best thing. Orc Origins clans, that's something we should probably also decide, like what he's from, right? So, Origins clans. I won't design a specific clan for this character. I think he should be from one of the main orc clans. Orcs are not all by the same by any stretch of the imagination, even when considering only the common mass of boys that make up the overwhelming majority of orcs. Significant variations exist in this group. The broad groupings commonly seen whenever orcs gather are collectively known as clans, each of which has their own tendencies and predilections. On some of the level, all orcs possess an affinity for one or more clans, demonstrating the common tendencies that define them. Select each clan entries below. Bad Moons. These are the richest orcs and tend to be the most inclined to flaunt their wealth and status. The great fang-like teeth and tusks, also known as teeth, are used as currency by the orcs, and they grow faster than those of the other orcs of any other clan, leading to Bad Moons having greater wealth and greater inclination to trade and barter than most. Bad Moons gain a bonus, blah, 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 blah. I think it would be interesting for our character to be a Bad Moon, just because he can have more goals in life rather than just fighting. So like weird boys are not necessarily, especially like freebooters, are not necessarily just about fighting. It seems kind of weird to say that, but the biosphere of an orc controls the way each orc biosphere, which are kind of like the conglomeration of Wa energy. It decides what an orc society needs at any particular moment. Like if they need more food, it increases the amount of squigs that respond, for instance, right? Or if it needs more technology in order to escape the gravity of a planet, then it produces more, mech boys, right? But there's also things where it just like the wild card factor that it doesn't know how to increase an orc biosphere's success. So it produces weird boys as kind of like the external factor in order to get to solve this an unorthodox way of like solving a problem, right? So, anyways, sometimes you get like a lot of free. That's what generally like freebooters are, in my opinion, right? So Bad Moons, it would be interesting because then you can have a character that he just loves like wealth. He loves stuff. Maybe he has sticky fingers. He's always stealing stuff. So that'd be interesting. Blood Axes. Largely distrusted by other orcs, Blood Axes have adopted many human ideas and tactics in their way of war, such as wearing camouflage, and notable for having traded with humans at various points in history. Blood Axes would be understandable, but I think they would be very... you wouldn't be able to... It would be very... standard. A little bit too easy to design a character like that. Death Skulls. Justifiably considered to be thieves and looters by most other orcs, Death Skulls are superstitious plunderers who gleefully strip the fallen of their possessions. They're notable for wearing copious amount of blue war paint. Blue being considered to be a lucky color amongst orcs in general, and the Death Skulls in particular. Death Skulls gain tech use, stuff like that. Evil Sons. Addicted to speed as much as they are to violence, Evil Sons love loud, fast-moving vehicles, often saving for their teeth to obtain a bike or other ramshackle vehicle, so long as to get grips with the enemy even faster. Just like how a cRPG would work, I don't think that would actually work for our character. So far, I'm thinking Bad Moons would be would make more sense, right? Goths, typically the largest, most aggressive and violent species, renowned for its size, aggression, and potency for violence. It wouldn't make any sense because our orc character would be interacting with humans and like other Xenos, right? He wouldn't just be like fighting all the time. Not necessarily, right? Snakebites. Tending to be primitive in outlook, snakebites disdain the use of technology in favor of what they see as traditional methods. Their name comes from the initiation rites where venomous snake is goaded into biting a young orc, known as a youth. Given the orc's natural resilience, this rarely has significant effect other than making the orc more tolerant to poisons. I think that our character would be a Bad Moon, right? So you have more interesting little bobbins, knickknacks, stuff like that. He's a freebooter. He likes wealth. He likes to loot stuff just as much as he likes to fight. And he has all sorts of like weird ideas about how the warp in like the Wa energy is supposed to be applied to a certain situation, right? I did have a character in my more recent 40k campaign that I made for my players that his name was 𝕿𝖗𝖆𝖉𝖊𝖗. and I had an idea for like the orc biosphere. It's not infallible, so sometimes if the programming in Orc Society just doesn't work for whatever situation, it spits out an orc or alters an orc where it's shunned by other Orc Society, and it kind of breaks the orc's functionality, right? So the way I had his backstory, 𝕿𝖗𝖆𝖊𝖚, D-A space 𝕿𝖗𝖆𝖊𝖚, the 𝕿𝖗𝖆𝖊𝖚. So 𝕿𝖗𝖆𝖊𝖚s are orcs, or defective orcs from an orc biosphere, right? In my campaign, right? It's not a canon thing, but this 𝕿𝖗𝖆𝖊𝖚 he was part of a raiding party of freebooters that went into essentially there's a old Imperial technology or Xenos technology. I forget exactly the backstory that I had for it, but essentially it was a technology field that was from a tyrannical government or a fascist government that it pacified its people by taking away its ability to fight. Right, it would kind of mute that part of your brain, right, and then make you more pliable, right? So that technology, the society actually, just decided they became too apathetic and they just kind of starved to death, as billions of people starved to death. But 𝕿𝖗𝖆 and his boys went down to the planet to loot, and they were affected. Most died, but 𝕿𝖗𝖆 lived, right? And his penchant for violence was actually removed, which is that is the core tenet of an orc, right? So he was able to speak perfect Gothic, and he wasn't driven by the same need for violence and combat that other orcs were. He liked it, but he wasn't driven by it, right? So the biosphere of an orc population considered him to be kind of like a tumor, right? So a lot of orcs would just not want to deal with him. But orcs can feel fear, right? And the way the damage to his Wa is that he can bypass orc resistance to fear, and he can command other orcs to do his thing because they didn't want to be a no bloke like him, right? And the thing is that he was such a powerful psyker, and also he was excelling as a no bloke that his green started to fade away, right? Even from his clothing. And he was just a master arc psyker who can possess people, and he would all. My party never finished him off before the end of the campaign. They fought a different villain, but he was kind of in the backstory, but the background. But he would always, if he wanted to fight the party members and he wasn't 100% sure about his chances of success, he would possess another warrior and send that warrior into fight, right? So that's how they could have this character over and over and over again. Anyways, I thought I'd actually share that with you guys. But yeah, warrior psyker background, and has more benefits from being with a lot of people, right? And you can be warrior. Was it? Go back over here. Anyways, that's going to be our. I definitely wanted to talk to you guys about it. It's been a while since I actually talked about Warhammer 40,000 lore. But warrior, and then you can choose to make him an assassin, vanguard, arc militant, or executioner. But his range stats are going to be really, really low. Yeah, I think it's fine. It's weird calling him an assassin, but he's a freebooter, right? So he's not going to be exactly the same. But anyways, I might kind of like to think about it and talk a little bit more about him. But that's his basic backstory I can think of. Let's go over here. Probably only have 20, 30 minutes left, something like that. Yeah. In terms of where you would find him, definitely I want this to be part of a DLC that features a lot of orc combat and a lot of orc gear. The next DLC is supposed to have space hulks, kind of almost like a random dungeon generation. So, I mean, if we can fit orcs in that DLC, great. If not, like, yeah, I would say, like, it would make sense if he was like a boy that's like stranded in a space hulk. Like, they're sometimes what space hulks are, if you're unfamiliar with it, they're when ships are going through the warp, they get lost in the warp, and over time, the influences of the immaterial energies like fuse. They're just like flotsam in the Sea of Souls, right? And sometimes a lot of these ships and like asteroids, stuff like that, they get mushed together in like a giant like 40k dungeon, right? And they get spat back out into reality. So you're going through like different decks trying to find treasure. Sometimes you'll find demons. Sometimes you'll find aliens. They're like randomly generated dungeons, and I think that's probably what owlcat is going to do. They're going to have like a randomly generated like dungeon system alongside with a DLC content. But and that would make sense to find an orc character there. Like he's just like been surviving on this space hulk for a long period of time. Let's see here. So, President of the Conti here. Tell Chancellor Viserion. They were resetting to see the government of Dargonis. We can do both, I guess. We got Eogunn. We got Iridira. We got a main party. We're fine. Give me 1 second. Let me go pee. You guys are all my friends. Thank you. Okay, press any key. I will press any key. Thank you. All right. Okay, access personal cogitator on Dargonis. Okay. So for this quest, we found one of our ancestors' hidden laboratories near the Sector Bionica, or whatever it's called. Let's see. Eogunn. It doesn't say where it is. I'll just keep on going. Eventually I'll run into it, I assume. Let's see here. So personal cogitator. Let's see here. Access personal cogitator on Dargonis. I'm assuming it's gonna be in my room. Talk to Eogunn. What's Eogunn doing? Oh, look at what he's doing. Is he having a lecture? Oh, how long has it been since I engaged in spontaneous symposium of this nature? The intellectual substance you engage. Okay, cool. He's doing his thing. Such a happy guy. Let's see. Okay, the Teawhistle Palace. The Palace of Teawhistle. The ominous halls. Smelling of cooking pies. And pipe weed. And salty pork. Yes, the smells of warriors. Everyone must go fuzzy feet barefoot when I'm present. Is what your lord demands. Cool. Let me see. What time is it? What time is it? Got 20 more minutes or so. 97. So yeah, I don't think I have time to say more about the DLC character. But yeah, it makes more sense to encounter our orc character on a Space Hulk, right? Let's see. Okay. Personal Cogitator. Curiosity Merchant. 𝕿𝖗𝖆𝖊𝖊𝖗. Loot? Just loot? Okay. What is? Wait. What? Can we not... Can we go in here? What's going on? Aristocrat. Okay. Okay, so there is like a secret chamber somewhere, right? Oh, I think I see it. Yeah, here's our own personal bed chamber. Long live the Rogue Trader! Long live Teawhistle! Yes. I am amazing. The leather covers bear the names of the authors. Most philosophers are the theologians from Dargonis. The spines of the books are trimmed with gold. Okay. Nice kind of cozy room. There's a faint mark on the polished mantelpiece, which is likely left by a glass. Barnabas! Hello there! Fire grenade. When you approach, Barnabas sends out a piercing screech and throws something at your feet. As you reach down and realize your bird has brought you a gift. As for where and when Barnabas could have found it, you probably will never know. Fire grenade. I like it. Thank you, Barnabas. Such a good boy. Make a sign of the Aquila. Cool. It's my bed chamber. So all the action happens. Captain Guppo. Obviously there is a hidden room. Oh my god, owlcat, you're so silly. The bed for the head of a Rogue Trader dynasty is befitting the status of its owner. No switches. Personal cogitator. Here we go. Cool. The ancient cogitator before you is a true work of art. Obedient to your commands, its machine spirit awakens with a soft hum of greeting. Enter identifier Laria. The cogitator falls deep in thought, its cooling systems buzzing intensely. After a few minutes of keeping you waiting, the vid screen blinks and it dutifully presents you with a list of several journal entries that have not been accessed in centuries. Laria. Open the entry titled New Horizons. The 3-star systems in the Cinerus Malefictum that have come to my possession in journeys shall henceforth be known as the tier of Solar, Ignis, Corona, and Fortis Porta. These are new horizons that have never been known. They've never known humanity's rule, and whose Rogue Trader overlords obliged me greatly by having already eliminated each other. The artifacts they left behind, a legacy of sorts, are priceless. A blade I took off a desiccated Eldari corpse on one of Fortis's Porta worlds carries immense power within it, and it is but one amongst a wealth of relics. Attached to this entry are astrographic coordinates. With a dutiful trill, the machine spirit transfers them to your data slate with the utmost diligence. Okay, we got that. That's good. Open the entry, 30-second Marav. Corda is getting sloppy. He uses Calix's connections to give me utter dregs, which he then tried to pass off as elite troops. But I can only thank him for his lack of judgment. Those with nothing to lose make the most loyal servants, once they feel a modicum of their master's good graces. Lowly scum no more. They will be the sword and shield of House Teawhistle. No, well, at this point it's House Valencius. In faithful service to me and my descendants. Okay. Interesting. Open entry titled The Crimson Dance of Cain. Interesting. The power contained within this blade is most mysterious one. Even Exalt 117's keen mind failed to comprehend it fully. Nor have several Eldari Xenos captured by my orders been able to tell me anything illuminating, save for the weapon's name. The Crimson Dance of Cain. Looks like a really interesting weapon. I know Cain to be an all-obliterating embodiment of war itself in their abominable belief system. Befitting name for it. Finish working with the archive. Interesting. The cogitator dutifully closes the data repository and clears his vacant screen to await further instructions. Request archive, I guess? The volume of data stored in the cogitator's bowels is enormous, and its comprehensive analysis would take months of dedicated logist and historitor labor. However, the ancient device's machine spirit turns out to be unusually accommodating and informs you that it'll be readily open to any section of the archive if you present the correct identifier of what you're searching for. Okay, turn it off. Very interesting. Should I do anything here? Let me see. Oop. In the footsteps of a legend, explore the cluster systems around the tier of Solar. It has come to known that Siberians set out in search of a certain artifacts allegedly capable of shaping the dynasty. Taking his relic sword with him, the rogue trader went missing somewhere in the cluster encompassing the tier of Solar, Ignis, Corona, and Fortress systems. Let's actually, we won't do any of the Dargonis' quest lines yet. Some of the stuff that we did on our last campaign, I might just do like off stream. Just kind of like, you know, push things along. Because I do need to get some of the, like, the colony quest lines done. What's this? What is this? What's that? What is? Outside? Okay, weird. But yeah, let's just finish up this. We're doing DLC stuff. So let's do DLC stuff. Oh, you know what? I could have gone back to my ship from the palace. I just realized that. Whatever. That's fine. So, like, if we're talking about our potential character that we're brainstorming, our orc weird boy character, let's see, he could be more of like an assassin or a tank or a DPS guy. So, if that were the case, then personality-wise, and we established that part of his personality trait is like a evil son's background, right? So he has like yellow paints, totems, stuff like that, and he likes wealth, right? And he's a freebooter, so he does like money and loot as much as he does like violence in like combat, right? I don't want him to be just a plain brute, but maybe, like what archetype would like your party need in this game? We have like, what do we have? We have a pious soldier with a tragic backstory. What do we have? A kind of like a cultist assassin who's dedicated her life to the being a weapon. Right? What do we have? We have a loyal servant of the Empire, right? We have a black market dealer. We have a cop, essentially, and we have the engineer. We have a teacher, and we have a mythical warrior, and we have a masochist. So, with that said, just like money, right? Like a penny pincher, right? I mean, Jay's kind of like that, right? She fills that kind of like role in the party aesthetically. So, I don't know if we could fully like lean into that for our orc character, right? But there is something there, right? To just be like the loot guy, the connections. Well, not necessarily the connections guy, because Jay is kind of like that too, right? But the greedy guy, he finds everything. He has a nose for treasure, that sort of thing. That's what our character should be, I think. But I feel like it's taken him so far away from a normal orc biosphere that a lot of orcs just kind of like shun him, right? And he's not really goes where whoever pays him the most and gives him more interesting things. Let's see. So where are we going? We're going to LA Rim Station. Say there are there. I mean, we could swing by this and do this quest line. Explore the cluster systems around the tier of Solar. Yeah, that's where we're going. So we're going this way. So safe. Guys, if you haven't already, be sure to like and follow and subscribe on YouTube and Twitch. Really would appreciate it if you would do so. I do stream Wednesday, Thursday nights, Saturday, Sunday mornings. And if you do like what you see, you like hanging out with me, and you want to get more content, if you can help me grow, that'd be great. Best way to do that is liking, following, and subscribing. But there are super chats, there are channel rewards, points, stuff like that you can actually partake in. You can just show up and just be a body in the chat, just lurk. Just enjoy my streams. Would definitely appreciate that. But yeah, be vocal, be not, hang out. Just want to, essentially have a nice place for you to hang out in. Or unsafe, let's go. Or breach, ungodly fiends spread like a sorcerer's disease, walk the lower decks. Gather a cohort of infected voicemen. If no measures are taken, then immediately the entire bay can be turned into a den of heresy. I don't actually want to give my stuff. I think I might just take the damage. 78, that's fine. Let's see here. Go here. More travel. Okay. There's a malfunction in the engineering chamber during the warp journey. The accelerator cogitators stopped obeying the tech priest for a few precious moments. The ancient machines were left to their own devices. The crew managed to avoid serious breakdowns or accidents. Several acolytes of the occult mechanicus returned in the service as penance, and the bosun gave out several triple watches to the voidsmen who dredged up the old rumors about the cursed ship. Okay, so we got 10 points of insight. I think... I don't know if I want to spend 3. But... can I just do... like, go down to unsafe? Yeah, 2 is fine. Or travel. Because I don't know how often we're going to come back to the system. You're in your chambers, enjoying some long-awaited rest, when you are struck by a strange sensation. Something at the level of animal instinct. Okay? The doors seem to be locked. And yet no one could have entered your chambers without your knowledge, and yet you are not alone. I think we already did the assassination. I know there's one of the random encounters you can get that's like an assassination. You have to fend for things by yourself. I think we already did that in this campaign. So I don't know if this is something else. You are not alone in your quarters. I picture Captain Guppo wearing like a 40k onesie with a little butt flap. But let's see. Maybe polka dotted. Oh no, little Warhammer skulls on the onesie. But yeah, I'm just thinking about the character that we're dredging up. I think if we didn't encounter him on DLC 4, like on a Space Hulk, like what would make more sense? Anyways, let's go back. What's going on here? Is that the man? The man himself? Unnatural silence reigns in your chambers. The dust motes hang frozen in the air before you. The candle flames cease to flicker, and the 2 enforcers who came to check your quarters stand as still as statues, all in stark contrast to the other silhouette, one that is utterly unlike anything else in this room. A massive inhuman figure, forged entirely from dark metal, stands towering in the middle of your chambers. Despite your arrival, the uninvited guest's attention seems to have been entirely captured by the trophies on the walls of your study.
Interesting. Quite interesting. The only item of note in this worthless heap. But what is the genesis? The originating cause? A definitive answer would require more thorough research. But the testimony of even a primitive creature will serve. You. Where on the ship did this object come from? What do you know of its provenance?
So I think in the Warhammer 40,000 cRPG, we haven't encountered a lot of like main timeline characters, like canon characters, right, from the war game or the novels. So I think this is the first one. So this is Trazyn the Infinite, right? And his deal is that he's a Necron, like the unliving metal race that we've been talking about, and he's mostly like he's in it for himself to kind of just like get the universe's curiosities and put them into an archive, a motion of just things where you can just stuff that he can have, right? So interesting. Interesting. Captain Guppo is not scared anymore of stuff like this. What are you? What do you know? Let's assume. Looks like the person is talking about the Necrons once Necrons once members of the Catan. Yeah, that Necron looks like a Necron Lord Tessera, the one who sealed its scenes items in the labyrinth. Yeah. What have you done to my subject? What are you doing on my ship? What do you mean? Which object do you mean? What are you?
Human, I am addressing you in a language you ought to understand. Answer my question.
The giant lets out a metallic clashing sound, which you somehow know indicates his displeasure. Flee? No. What object do you mean?
This is testament to how the ancient enemies of my kind were defeated at the hands of your primitive people. Do you know how this object came to be here and why it occupies a place of such honor?
Is it a shark head? I can't remember. I don't remember if you even like checked that out in the main game. The giant points to a massive block hanging from a trophy board. Interesting. That item belongs to my predecessor. She is dead.
And the transience of life forms like yours leads to precious knowledge being carried off into the abyss of history yet again. I can see this is a dead end for further research. Since you have proven useless for my inquiries, I am ending this pointless conversation. Farewell, human.
Farewell, Ratling. Okay. A moment later, the strange atmosphere in your chambers dissipates, and your frozen forces stir into motion once more. Exchanging bewildered looks, the pair hastily make the sign of Aquila and haltingly mumble words of greeting, clearly ignorant of what has just transpired in these quarters. Can I say something? Okay. I think we might have taken a look at this in the previous campaign. A bizarre fragment hung on a trophy board. The light, smooth surface of the object is dotted with dark spots and crumbling holes. Okay, is it Blackstone? I don't think this is Blackstone. Like the Necron type. It's like a... Necron is like a type of Necron material that repels the warp. Very valuable in this day and age, like the 42nd millennium. Let's see, we have our buffs up. We don't have to have any coffee. Interesting. Well, we're not gonna like radio like the bridge crew. Okay. Anyways, can we talk, Abelard?
Lord Captain.
Use me as a rogue trader. My seneschal becoming my first name. No longer needed your services. God, this would actually break my heart if I kicked Abelard out. We're not going to talk to him? Okay. Let's talk about things that may be of useful to me as a rogue trader.
A noble aspiration, Lord Captain. I am ready to acquaint you with all the particulars that interest you.
Who are the main players I need to be aware of at the Cronus Expanse?
In the first instance, you should treat official representatives of the Imperium with respect. The Expanse may be on the fringes, but it still numbers among the territories of the Golden Throne.
I guess?
The arrival of the Lord Inquisitor has turned the Cronus Expanse into a less wild and uncontrolled region. to the regret of some individuals who
I
have
would
grown
really like to know,
used
like,
the level of
why
lawlessness.
the Coronis Expanse is not the Coronis Sector yet.
Rogue traders such as yourself are also servants of the Imperium. They have been accorded special rights and powers. They wield immense authority within their territory, and they enjoy absolute respect in other parts of the Expanse. The most powerful of them are Kalagos Winterscale and 𝕿𝖗𝖆𝖊𝖃. Tread carefully when dealing with either of them.
Next week, what we could probably do is talk about various Rogue Trader households and Navigator households in the Expanse. I think we might have talked about Navigator households before.
If we are to speak of unclaimed territory, which is what Footfall is, among the scum that dwells on that handful of asteroids, there are 3 factions that wield considerable influence in the sector. The first is the 𝕿𝖗𝖆𝖊𝖃 Commission, organized crime in its most primitive form. It holds sway over the Liege of Footfall and has links to rogue trader Winterscale. The second faction is an offshoot of our shining ecclesiarchy, followers of St. Drusus. They are actively building their forces and hold influence over rogue trader 𝕿𝖗. And finally, the third faction, the Explorators, a wing of the Adeptus Mechanicus. They are willing to die and kill for the secrets of the ancient technological heresies that are hidden among the stars of the Coronis Expanse.
Okay, interesting. I think this was added on. I don't remember him saying this in the first playthrough. But first, it helps all mission, organized crime in the primitive form. What was I going to say? Was I going to say something about this? I mean, interesting. Oh yeah, that's how I was going to say something about St. Drusus. I think we talked a little bit about St. Drusus, but that is in the pen and paper RPG. He's a very important character in this area of space. He was one of the main warriors, in the initial attempt to conquer the Calyx Expanse and turn it into a Calyx sector, right? So mostly he's like a soldier. Like, there is saint worship in the RPG, the pen and paper RPG, quite a bit. More so than you actually encounter in like novels and stuff like that. Like, saint worship is like, you're not like saying the emperor is not a god or anything like that, but sometimes you're saying that the emperor is so far beyond you as an amazing, incredible god that it's kind of hard for him to hear a lowly life form such as yourself. So you worship saints, and you give them prayers in order to carry those prayers to the emperor, because they have his ear, right? And St. Drusus is a lot of people. There's a lot of classes there's a lot of classes and character build options that revolve around worship and builds around St. Drusus, and mostly they're like he's like a warrior, not god obviously, but a warrior. His teachings are like, it's a warrior religion, right? I think for the most part, and I guess you can say like the cult Imperium is a warrior religion too, but mostly Drusus is mostly like venerating the individual warriors and like protecting them as they do their duty, right? More so than the emperor, which is just like protect yourself, serve the Imperium, that sort of thing. But yeah, in the RPG, the pen and paper RPG, there was a storyline where Drusus apparently just came back. He was like resurrected, and I think there was like a whole like storyline. I think from the it's like a 3-part adventure in the Rogue Trader pen and paper game, and trying to find the truth of what really happened. Sirocco, hey Sirocco. Grrr. Okay. We'll play around a little bit with, I think we're almost out of time, but let's just see. 234. We will take a look at the planet, this sector a little bit, before we take off today. So let's go. But yeah. What was I going to say? Okay, this is an uncharted system. Explore the cluster of systems around the tier of Solar. Chart new routes. Is anything around here? 2 more. Okay. Keep on going. The Cronus Expanse is a little study region beyond the edges of the Imperium. Since before records began, most people have been drawn there in search of glory, treasure, and the dark. Oh, that's what I was going to talk about. Like, I was wondering, I keep musing on like, ooh, interesting sector, star system rather. I was kind of musing on like why the Cronus Expanse is not the Cronus sector yet, but you have to keep in mind that a lot of the resources from the Imperium are bypassing Kronos and going into their secret crusade over in Jericho. Right, we still don't in the 42nd millennium. We don't know what happened to the Jericho Reach. I mean, it's a 1v3 crusade. Imperium versus Tau, Imperium versus Tyranids, Imperium versus Chaos. Right, so it doesn't feel like it would have gone very well, especially because there's only one reliable way to enter it, and that's through past Calixis. Between Kronos and Calixis and into the warp storm, where there's like one warp gate that takes you there. So like all the Crusades forces like hold up around it. Anyways, let's look around. Interesting. Dude. We got. What's this? Voxmaster Victus, Lord Captain, our augurs detected a faint emergency signal. The source was traced to a crashed Valkyrie. Okay. Its Vox systems are still transmitting the message. Transmitting the signal now. A stream of hissing crackles out of the Voxcaster. From time to time, an exhausted male voice breaks through the interference, reciting a series of codes. Lore succeeded. Okay. These codes seem familiar. Jay tells me what it is, and I'm like, of course, they mean this. Although the codes being transmitted are centuries out of date, you're able to make sense of them. An Astra Militarum regiment is requesting assistance in reporting that retreat from the present position is impossible. Try to amplify the signal. A prayer for the dying machine spirits grants fortitude for one final act, and the voice becomes clear. 𝕿𝖆𝖊𝖊, Penal Legion. The one who questioned us, Sebastian von Valencius, is Siberian. Wait, what? That was generations ago. So this guy's probably dead. Siberian von Valencius is dead. We have no means of communication. Not found in order. We have been abandoned. God Emperor, have mercy on us. Claim us before the warp finishes us off. The 𝕿𝖆𝖊𝖊 Penal Legion. Despite desperate thugs rounded up from the prisons of the hive world of 𝕿𝖆𝖊 in Calixis and commanded by brutal officer wardens, you've heard tales of these regiments. They were requisitions by Siberian. A crucial detail. It is another trace of your ancestor. To settle. Yeah, the special shuttle. I can throw legions of my people at him. I have no value. I see no value in human life. Not at all. The reconnaissance squad soon reports that they have located a crashed shuttle with a barely recognizable Astra Militarum insignia on the hull. After breaching its hull with lascutters, the reconnaissance force discovers the skeleton of a lone pilot. Judging by his injuries, he died long before the crash. The extracted Vox recording is delivered aboard your flagship, where your servants managed to restore it. In it, Private Ruben Kuroshovach reports that the 32nd Regiment of the 𝕿𝖆𝖊𝖊 Penal Legion, requisitioned by Siberian, was left without a ship and supplies on GH 89717 after Rogue Trader's death. Okay. The message ends with the phrase, Atonement for the One. Baffled by the presence of an Astra Militarum Penal Legionnaire on an ancient shuttle, your squad returns to the flagship. One thing is now clear, however. The world where Siberian drew his final breath is close at hand. Interesting. Save. We'll do the border worlds first. We'll go kind of outwards and then inwards. Plasteel. Do I need plasteel? I don't think I really do. We got extractium, 6 extractium. And then we'll go here. Rocky world. Erica is the world. Okay, interesting. Whoa! Hello! Who are you? Let's go. Let's scan this first, because I think this is where we're supposed to go. Cast Giant. Okay. Lava world. Interesting. Okay. So boop. Boop. And boopy boop. Cool. Lord Captain, we have compared our augur readings to the data from 𝕽𝖗𝖆 Cogitator. This world is GH 89717, mentioned in the diary of 𝕿𝖗𝖆𝖊𝖊𝖗 von Valancius. In the archives, this world is flagged as of no further value. What manner of classification is that? So long as the planet retains an atmosphere and at least one scrap of resources, such a write-off is a crime against the dynasty. High Factorum Janus Danrock. Why, this is the very place that the unfortunate soul in the shuttle was trying to save. I fear that we will find nothing but a graveyard down on the surface. Vosmector Victus, we have detected a strange signal on the surface, your lordship, requesting permission to conduct a targeted augur scan. Victus, direct the augurs to the region where the signals were detected. Lord Captain, there are signs of human activity. The planet is inhabited. Large concentrations of people detected. Human-made structures, too. I'll bet crude ones. Hi, Danrock. I rescind my words, your lordship. This world has just risen in value and gained some interesting prospects. Prepare a shuttle for landing. By the time you reach the hangar, the shuttle has already been properly readied. A young pilot offers you a respectful bow and makes a sign of the Aquila in greeting. You proceed into the stifling passenger compartment that smells of sacred unguents and leather. The flight down to the planet proceeds as normal. This changes when the pilot announces atmospheric entry, beckoning your gaze toward the viewports. The shuttle glides through colossal roots and vines, which swathe the planet. Okay, lots of sound effects. Glides through colossal roots and vines which swathe the planet in vast quivering mantle. Spellbound, you watch the movement within the groves before the pilot reports losing Vox contact with the flagship, and then a heavy blow strikes the hull. Attempting an emergency landing. Hold fast, your lordship! God, Emperor, have mercy on us! My lord, I love you! Okay, cool. Whoa, hello. Interesting. Characters can only attack targets that are visible to them. Great. Interesting. Kind of excited for the Dark Heresy cRPG. I do have a character in mind. I think we established that the character that we're going to build for Dark Heresy is going to be a radical warmonger inquisitor type, but with a kind of Turkish oil wrestling like combat style, right? So they should be really fun. I don't know if you could do melee like fisticuffs, but I'll try it. I have to actually look that up. I'm sure, like, some people have probably played around with the combat system. I have to look up some videos on that. Is the pilot alive? Okay. Your skull feels like it's about to split under pressure. A heartbeat later, all agony ebbs, leaving behind only a haunting hum. It smothers your mind, stifling all reason and hindering your ability to think. Your gaze falls on the young pilot, who survived the crash and stumbled out of the wreckage shuttle after you, doting over you lovingly. A wave of sickening fury suddenly swells within you. He is the one who lost control of the vessel. Willpower test succeeded. By willpower alone, you're able to pull yourself together. The fury fades, sinking in the depths of your mind, leaving a lingering terror, an urge to flee, and knowledge that such escape is impossible. Okay. Can the shuttle be repaired? Personal pilot. He casts a bleak glance at the shuttle. I'm afraid not, Lord Captain. The ship requires recovery and application of Adeptus Mechanicus repair sacraments, and these can only be done aboard the flagship. We need an evacuation. Did anyone see who attacked us? The pilot speaks through clenched teeth, finding the urge to shout. Movement on the port side. That's the last thing I saw, Lord Captain. Something massive, like a tree trunk. It was either thrown at the shuttle or it attacked us itself, your lordship. Eogunn. An indigenous organism of such a formidable size that it can insult imperial machinery? This world promises to be a true treasure trove of discoveries. A fine observation, Nuncius. He turns towards his silent companion, whose servo motors emit a phlegmatic buzz. It could be indeed be a specimen of either megafauna or megaflora. Captain Guppo touches his temple. Does anyone feel anything odd, as if something is pressing into your mind? A particular pattern of acoustic waves. I've never encountered anything like this before. Eogunn appears utterly serene and even intrigued as he listens too intensely to something. Infrasound alternating with ultrasound. So unnaturally, too. These frequencies are inaudible, Lord Rogue Trader, yet they invoke a violent reaction from deep-seated structures of the human brain. I would like to lay eyes on their source. Earlit. A strange semblance of a song, harsh and cruel, to an unprotected mind. That is what I hear. For you, even perceiving its presence is likely a difficult task. For me, however, Earlit grimaces, and it is clear that the mysterious phenomenon is causing her genuine pain. 𝕽𝖃𝖆. The sound seems barely audible, but it's so loud that it drowns out even my whispers. I wonder how long we can endure this cacophony before we start slaughtering each other. Personal pilot. I thought it was the result of the impact, like a hum of some kind. It's a struggle to think straight, let alone to keep from losing it. My apologies, your lordship. Contact the flagship, now! The rage in the pilot's face gives way to a look of panic as you realize how he just behaved in the presence of his rogue trader. With a trembling hand, he reaches for the Vox augment on his head. After a moment, the man looks at you with hollow eyes. Lord Captain, all channels are nothing but static. I don't understand why. Everything is functioning perfectly, as if something is jamming the frequency. We cannot contact the flagship. According to my charts, there is a settlement nearby. Perhaps the locals have a more powerful Vox unit? We are heading to the settlement. Perhaps a Vox seal will break through the flagship from there. With your permission, Lord Captain, I'll remain here in case the Vox starts working or an equivalent evacuation team arrives on the flagship. Yes, of course. Proceed. Interesting. Okay, let's see. I kind of want to keep on playing. We are at 40, so we have like 13. I can do 13 minutes. It's not that big a deal. So let's do 13 minutes. We'll do a 3-hour stream. Interesting. Cool. The last campaign that I did, one of the worlds was a megafauna planet, where the main series of trees were like grew around the planet in this like vast canopy that actually covered the majority of the planet and kept it like its atmosphere and like kept things like from like regulate the temperature and oxygen, stuff like that. But it's like this giant canopy that actually was above this in the atmosphere, right? That my players like found out on. It was a den of pirates, and it had like some like a vascular structure that was very thin, but it was able to support like the mega structure was able to support the canopy. It was able to support itself with like more like gas bladders and stuff like that. But the roots actually were very comparatively thin and went down to the very small like planet core, like around this planet, right? But it was mostly like a mega tree planet. So this is kind of like similar to what I had like envisioned in my campaign. But, boop.
I won't tolerate weakness.
Get around. Goods. What is... It's red. Bro. Oh, Cat, you're not going to do that to me again. I'm going to send my...
The Emperor's justice.
I'm send my scout.
I'm on lookout.
This planet is beautiful in its wildness, but it does not welcome uninvited guests. I can sense something in its depths watching us hungrily.
Okay.
I can't say anything about feeling watched, but the traps were definitely set by someone intelligent, and someone with a knack for strategy. 𝕽𝖃𝖆, watch the perimeter.
Okay. Can I... This is obviously poison. Can I not... Can I bypass this somehow? Goods?
A colossal mistake.
I can't look at it? Okay. The buds of these plants look menacing. Do I have to, like, time it? Wait, how do you... Can I just... Wait, what? Oh. Can I just...
Accepted.
Okay, cool. It works. Nice.
Sweeping the area. Clarify your order.
I'll take it as priority.
Okay. Violence is always the answer. Interesting. Okay. I wasn't 100% sure it would work. What is this? Anything else? Drover's Cry. The mental shriek of this immense creature, the Drover's Cry. The mental shriek of this immense creature entrenched within Zarkov's depths. It awakens fully and clouds the mind. Does it do anything? It doesn't say.
State your intention.
Can
I have traveled far darker paths.
I just like blow this thing apart?
I understand your intent.
Yeah, there we go. Cool. Violence is always the answer.
I am not your Xenos pet monkey.
Okay. So far, so good. Super virance. Virance. Okay. How does Eogunn, like, climb? Ancient building now shows signs of recent repairs. Does he just float up? What is he gonna do? Oh, he actually, this is his, okay, cool. That's a cool little climbing animation. Interesting. Uses his mechadendrites to climb up. Interesting. Goods. Oh, autosave. That can never be good. We got flamers. We got oil grenades. That's new. This grenade creates an area of sticky flammable material lasting 1 round. When a creature enters the area or is present inside at the moment it appears, it suffers +8 stats of covered in oil. If a creature in the area of the moment it disappears, it suffers 3 stacks of covered in oil. Each stack of this effect increases all fire and burning damage suffered by this creature by 1. That's not bad. Oh, wait, I didn't even pick it up. Okay, I have a feeling that we have combat coming up. Yeah, look at this. This is totally like a battle arena. Come on, man. Okay. Salamorn.
Shall stand in my way.
Salamorn. Okay, my sniper. Eogunn.
Lucius, pay attention.
Okay.
My
That.
whispers
Boop,
crave
boop, boop.
entertainment.
And
Doubt is for the weak.
that.
I'm ready.
J.
You love to take
Here.
charge, don't you?
You.
The songs of my ancestors
Here.
speak of stars.
Reports, the bane of an arbitrator's existence. At the end of every mission,
I'm
at the
fairly.
mercy of
If it
people.
moves my party, I'm going to be so pissed. God damn it! Why? What is with owlcat and like using ambushes? Come on. Owlcat loves ambushes. Interesting. Like, I knew this was coming. Why can't I just, in character, like, not be in the middle of it? Look at this. It's going to ambush me, too. It's not going to let me... You were ambushed, right? Okay. Okay, at least I can, like, prepare my guys. Oh, my God. Look at this. Barricade, barricade, barricade. Mace, mace, barricade, growth. Interesting. Okay, that's a good place to stop it. But, man... Like, look at this. Like, right in the middle of it. Owlcat really loves to do this with all of his games. It's kind of... I gotta say, it's kind of annoying. I gotta say. Anyways, guys, thank you very much for attending my stream once more. You guys are incredible, beautiful people who deserve all the love in the world. Don't forget that! You guys are amazing. You guys are amazing. Yeah. Yeah, thank you guys very much. Be sure to like and follow and subscribe on YouTube and Twitch if you haven't already. I really would appreciate it if you would do so. Like I said, plenty of different ways to do so. Like and follow and subscribing is one of them. There are super chats. There are channel points. There is a Patreon. If you need any links, they can be, including my social media links, they can be on my About page. I think most of them are down below in the comments down below. Check out our Discord if you haven't already. Jump in, hang out. In terms of what I'm going to be doing next week, I think we're going to be doing something different on... Wednesday. Thursday, we're definitely going to be doing Master of Magic, and I think, I'm not sure if we're going to be doing Lisa or not. We might switch something out It depends on. I want to try a couple of new things, but Wednesday, Thursday night, Saturday, Sunday morning should be pretty standard. I might try again to jump on before work and play some like Tyranny or another like very like short stream, just to kind of experiment with different like time slots. But hope to see you guys all again soon. Have an amazing weekend. Have an amazing Sunday, and be true to each other. Be kind to each other, and I will see you before you know it. Take care, guys.